is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 311 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday night, May the 9th, 2026. My name's Jeremy Lee, and a few quick announcements before we dive right in. The Fanatics auction-ending watch party is back here tomorrow night. Leighton Sheldon will be joining us a little bit later. He likes to purchase vintage collections. You can reach out to him at leighton@justcollect.com. Auctionwire.ai, one of Leighton's companies, is a proud sponsor of this show as well. Use promo code SCL for 60 free day trial at auctionwire.ai. Guys, check out mintinc.ca. They offer the ultimate hobby experience, live whatnot, streams and auctions to grading, breaks, and 2 full retail locations in the Toronto area. They do it all. They're buying collections 7 days a week. Click the link in the description below for SCL5. That is the promo code SCL5 for 5% off your first purchase. Shop online anytime with worldwide shipping. And guys, the Front Row Card Show is in Pasadena, California, May 23rd, 24th with 770 tables. That is huge. Visit frontrowcardshow.com for more show dates and locations. And guys, grading is expensive. Ties up your time, your money, your assets. Get it right with Mr. Minty, offering a full line of 100% substance-free pre-grading supplies, grade preparation and evaluation services, and concierge drop-off services for PSA and BGS, designed to help collectors save time and money in the expensive grading process. And you can meet Mr. Minty at many shows across the country. Go to mrminty.com, save 25% off products using promo code SCL25, and happy collecting and keep it minty. Right from Steve, Mr. Minty himself. Guys, Chronosio, we had on Jonathan 2 weeks ago. It's the AI-powered collection assistant that allows you to sell boxes and boxes of cards. You can scan them, document them, list them for sale in just minutes. It works with sports cards, TCG cards, slabs, raw. It takes it all. There's 2 bundles available on walmart.com, eBay, Amazon, as well as certain hobby stores, and is now available in Canada as well. The bundles include not only a scanner, software, and supplies, but also a one-on-one enablement session at a time of your choosing. Visit chronosio.com/booking. It's a huge part of the value. And not only does Chronosio work with you to get up and running, but they will be there to support you as you are running your business. Whether you're a collector or a hobby store looking to expand, go to chronosio.com to learn more. And guys, Collector Investor Auctions, May auction, the May 26th auction is now live. It ends on Thursday, May 17th. Go to collectorinvestorauctions.com to register and bid. To register to bid and to see all of the items. If you want to sell cards on eBay, you can email me directly, jeremy@slabsharks.com, and I would be happy to help you get your cards selling up on eBay. This episode is also brought to you by Upper Deck, the Sport Card Expo, Inferno Red Technologies, ComC, and Card Ladder, with an affiliate link below for Card Ladder. And these shows are available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave a rating or review. Would greatly appreciate it. And as always, a huge thank you to all of our loyal viewers and podcast listeners. If you're not yet subscribed, please take a moment to do so. And as always, your comments and your questions are in play. Let's bring out Mr. David Chase. What is up, buddy?
What's up, Jeremy Lee? Good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see you too. We had a week away. I was at the Sport Card Expo in Toronto, and oh my goodness, what a show it was. It was unbelievable, as it always is. It's such a fun show. I got some pickups I want to share. I got just a few things to kind of mention about it. Man, it was fun. Did you see any content, any pictures from the expo, David?
I did. I saw you on stage. You were interviewing superstars. I saw a child, like a very young kid, interview you on Instagram. Also, I mean, you've been everywhere. I totally had FOMO watching you play around over at the Expo. I feel like I have to get to one of those shows eventually.
Oh, you got to come, man. It's so much fun. Yeah, you mentioned I was interviewing. I got to be on the stage 5 times, and 3 of them were athlete interviews, which were great. All hockey players, all goaltenders, and all like well-careered goaltenders. Curtis Joseph, Ed Belfour, and Kirk McLean, who had a very great and long career with the Canucks and the New York Rangers. He actually lost in the Stanley Cup Finals to the New York Rangers in '94 when he was with the Canucks, and then he ended his career with the New York Rangers. All 3 of these guys were awesome. I got to have a fireside chat on the stage with Dr. Beckett. It was one-on-one. We took some questions from the crowd. That was great. That was a lot of fun. And also did a content creator panel as well with Josh Madigan from the Hockey Cards Gong Show, Jay, Mojo Sport, and we brought Mark Hill on from My Card Post as well. Just sort of an impromptu invite, but those were a ton of fun, as they always are. The Thursday night event that I host along with GP Sports Cards and Total Sports was sponsored by Upper Deck. Was awesome. A lot of people came to that. Lots of giveaways. That was so much fun, as it always is. And what else can I? David, for the first time ever, I've been doing the Expo for over 20 years. For the first time, I had 2 booths, which had a lot of room. It was great. We had like 9 showcases. Josh Adams was set up with me. Yeah, he was.
How was that? Hanging with Josh.
It's always good hanging with Josh. Josh is a great guy. He's just so easygoing and fun to hang out with, and just a nice guy. You guys know him. You see him on here on the. Know him. You see him on the show. It was great. So Pops and Comps, my book. You never know how many you're going to need, as I'm learning. So I had 40 copies shipped out to Mikey at the Expo. He brought them to the show for me on Thursday morning. And the last copy sold like with an hour left in the show. So
Perfect.
Somehow nailed the amount, got them all sold. It was awesome. People were very gracious and supportive with that. So thanks to everybody who bought it. Even today, I did a one-day card show today with Jesse, 00 Cards guy, set up with me today at the Maple Leaf Sports Show here in Calgary, the Calgary Card Show. I'm not exactly sure what they call it anymore, but it was a one-day show, and sold a few copies of the book there. Brought in some Slab Shark consignment. Had a great time at that show today as well. But I want to mention also during Expo, so late night after dinners, had a couple dinners. My father was there, so he came for dinner with me on every night, but Thursday night, Friday night, it was me and him and Josh and Dr. Beckett and Chad Shipper, who's in the chat. Yeah, we had some great dinners. It was a lovely, lovely time. But after that, everyone's gone to bed, and there I am driving 20 minutes away to go to the Chateau Gong Show, where the Hockey Cards Gong Show guys have their Airbnb, and they've always got people over there. And went over there twice in a row, hung out with those guys. It was a lot of fun. Got to look through Josh's PC, which is amazing, in his top loader binder, and saw Loud Phil. I don't know if you guys know Loud Phil from or he's the Loud Collector, but his name is Phil. He's on the Gong Show. He picked up a card, David, at the show that I was like, man, I was so jealous. I wish I would have seen it first. I would have snapped it up, a nice Patrick Waugh auto patch. And then cool, crazy thing. A lot of people have heard of this by now, but I got there the second night I went there, and I walked in about 2 minutes after Anthony pulls from a box of 1990 Pro Set Hockey, the Stanley Cup hologram, an impossible hit. He pulled one on camera in that house. Now, I was so mad at myself because I made a wrong turn. I missed an exit heading there, which set me back like 5 minutes. Had I not missed that exit, I would have witnessed a Stanley Cup hologram being pulled, which I've never witnessed in my life. I've seen dozens of them. I've never seen one pulled. So that would have been a lot of fun. And then pickups. I had some fun pickups. And Mitch Grotman Cards, he brought me a stack that he'd been accumulating. So I want to first of all, before we sort of get into the show, we're going to say hi to everybody in the chat, but I want to share my pickups because we have a busy night tonight, David. We got you and me for the next 20 minutes. Then we're going to bring on Leighton for the next half hour. Then we've got Dean Kinzer coming on. I think we're in for a treat tonight when it comes to this middle segment of the show. And then the last segment, the last hour, we're going to bring everybody back. Chris, Josh, you, me, Joe, and we're gonna, talk about some other stuff and maybe debrief the middle segment as well. But I want to share with you guys what I picked up both at the Sport Card Expo, but also what Mitch brought for me. So first, I'll show you what Mitch brought for me, because I'll kind of whip through these. And David, you'll remember, because you were there at the West Coast Card Show back in February when I got into these baseball memorabilia pieces. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
You didn't just dip your toe in, Jeremy. You jumped in.
And now I can't stop. Now I'm going down. It's like a rabbit hole sort of thing, and it's now going to. I won't say it's gone to modern cards, but it's gone more to players that played, post 1950. So here, let me share some cards I picked up. That Mitch, and thank you to Mitch who brought these to Toronto for me. But so I grew up in Winnipeg, where the news we would get at night came from Detroit. And that means I was watching Detroit Pistons highlights in the 83, 84, 85, 86, when they were really good, the Bad Boys era. So picked up my first Isaiah Thomas memorabilia cards. That's a Fabrics of the Game.
Nice.
I know a lot of people don't like this guy, but I enjoyed watching him back in the day. And then this one as well from 04 Ultimate. A couple nice Isaiah Thomas game used cards. I picked up a Pedro patch card. And this one's numbered out of 23. Only 23 copies of this card. Beautiful Pedro game used patch.
Are you going for certain years of these, or just any year? Do you not care?
If I like them, if I like the looks. I want the earlier the better. The older the better. I'm not doing anything in the 2010s. It's got to be from the 2000s or the 90s.
Got it.
The Pee Wee Reese Dodger Blues to go with the Jackie that I picked up at the West Coast Card Show. That's a great pair. How about this beauty? This Warren Spahn. Oh, this card is phenomenal. Numbered out of 62. Look at that. Look at that patch.
Killer. Wow.
Beautiful game worn Warren Spahn Ultimate Game patch card. A nice Dan, now into some football, a Dan Marino Ultimate patch. Really nice piece. This card, I bought this card, oh my gosh, probably back in November. And I just got it now because it was, in between expos. Mitch brought it to me. This was a private deal on Instagram, a Joe Montana Exquisite Game Used patch. Awesome. Wow. Love it. Numbered out of 35. And then these two came from my buddy Porco on Instagram. Just going to show them both. That's Barry Sanders and Jim Brown. Fabrics of the Game, game used pieces. They're both numbered out of 25. They're just awesome.
Will you buy more than one of each player?
I will. I'll pick up different cards of one, more than one of each card of a different player, or more than one card of different players. Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Of the same player? Yeah.
Yeah, of the same. Well, speaking of which, did I show you? Yeah, I showed you that Barry Sanders. Got this one as well. This is this card. Yeah, that's a beautiful Ultimate patch. Yep. And then LaDainian Tomlinson Exquisite patch. Notice there's no autos, guys. I don't need autos on my patch cards. I do love auto patches, don't get me wrong, but I don't need them. And then I got this one on ComC, Jim Palmer. It's a really nice patch card of Jim Palmer. And then onto some hockey. Couple of Upper Deck, the Cup gold patch cards that I collect. There's a Nick Lidstrom from 07 right there, and a Jack Hughes, your American Golden Goal scorer. That one's from 2021. Pick those up. Basketball. This is a Chris Bosch 05 Exquisite patch out of 10. Nice patch on that one. Raptors card. And then just some more recent hockey inserts. A 2003 EX 2000 gold essential credentials of Sidney Crosby. Nice card there. Yeah. Yeah.
You went nuts.
These have been accumulating for 5 months though, this stack. So it's really not that crazy, but I haven't even shown you the expo pickups. Look at this card. 2024 Metal Universe on the button gold, Nick Suzuki, captain of the Montreal Canadiens. But look at the shine on this thing. Wow. This is amazing. I didn't know until I had it in hand. And this one's numbered to 10, only 10 copies. So nice.
You bought these from different people or all from the same person?
No, these were ComC pickups, I think.
Got it.
I think this was an eBay ComC auction, and this was on ComC, and I might have had it sent to PSA for grading through ComC. I don't even remember.
But all those patches were from multiple different people?
Yeah, the patches were all from different eBay sellers, private IG deals, or ComC.
Nice.
One of the three. And then this is a 2024 SPX Grand Finale Sidney Crosby. These are numbered out of 50. Pretty nice right there. I love collecting Sidney Crosby. And then the last card that Mitch brought to me, I bought this on Fanatics Collect a few weeks ago. 2024 Fleer Ultra Hot Gloves. Tiger Woods, guys. I understand he's now giving driving lessons as well. But Tiger Woods hot. It's a really nice looking card. So that's
killer.
That's what was delivered to me. So those are new in
That's
hand.
it? That's it? That's all you got?
That's all that was delivered to me. But hang on. Here's the Expo pickups. And this is
oh
it.
my
Not that
God,
much.
Jeremy. You went crazy. I love it.
Well, okay. So the first pickup, these are not necessarily in order of picking them up, but you're gonna love these, David.
Oh yeah.
Guys, check these out. I bought these from my buddy Rich Barone. He's known as the mayor of Canada. He lives on Long Island. And this is I think it's the 02 and the 03 throwback threads Jackie Robinson game used jersey pieces.
Baby.
Both years. And they're both numbered out of 100. And the back of the card both have pictures of the jerseys that they came off of.
Oh, that is so cool.
Love that. So 2 Jackie Robinson game used jersey cards added to the collection. I think these are just awesome. Picked up a Dan Marino.
Are those your first of Jackie?
No, numbers 2 and 3. I picked one up at West Coast.
Yeah, I remember.
I guess I made an exception to the 2010, the no 2010s, because this is what year is this? I can't even. Man, they write these things so small these days. This is 2019 flawless Dan Marino. I just couldn't resist that card. It's so nice.
Already breaking your rules. I like it, Joe.
I know, right away. 5 minutes later. Rules broken. This was a gift from Justin, one of the guys who runs the Saskatoon card show, a Alyssa Milano auto.
Oh, that's
nice.
Awesome. After your conversation. That's awesome.
Picked this up off of a guy's table. This is the 97, I think. Fleer Ultra Gold Medallion, Shaquille O'Neal. Nice gold card. Oh, God, this is awesome. This is awesome. A dual auto of Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr. Now, I pretty much don't collect auto-only cards. I either collect patches or auto patches. But this card, these autos were perfectly placed. I had to grab that one. So, a new folder in my PC, I suppose. Some of these came in the same deal, but a Jaromir Jagr All-Star patch piece out of 15, really cool. This is a Teemu Selanne one-of-a-kind from President's Choice, a 1 of 1. That came in a trade. Steve Yzerman patch card out of 5. Sam Reinhart, big jumbo patch from Ultimate. This next one, I think this is a special sort of card. Trilogy Mario Lemieux triple patch, I guess, out of 5. But look at those pieces.
Wow.
Really like different sort of pieces there on that memorabilia card. Honorary triple swatches.
So most of the time, people don't get these graded, right? These patch cards?
Yeah, no. Not really. Thick cards, not often graded, I don't think. Not in hockey anyway.
Yeah.
A Ray Bork, emblems of endorsements.
Awesome.
Really sweet. I don't know what year that is. 2018. I'll see. Okay, here. Oh, okay. And
Sounds
then
like after 2010 to me.
Yeah, a dual signature Ray Bork and Cam Neely. See, I love my auto patches.
Yeah, autos. I see a lot of autos.
Michel Goulet. Look at the patch on that. The Fleur de Lis, which is on the province of Quebec's flag. I think, and it's funny. I'm pretty sure I owned this card like 10 years ago, and then got it back again. And then Jeremy Roenick, one of my favorite players. Look at that Upper Deck Ice. Look at that patch. And the on-card auto, numbered out of 10.
Patch. Wow. That's crazy.
And then my favorite hockey card I picked up is this Jagr from 2017. This is the Cup Tribute RPA to the 2008 design with a 3-color patch on-card auto, numbered out of 5. So really thrilled with that one. That was the biggest card I picked up price-wise. And then Pete, I picked up my 71 tops Pete Maravich.
Hey, finally. I love it. Let me see a
Yeah.
little closer, Jeremy, a little closer. Nice.
Yeah, nicely centered. It's got some issues along the top, but I think it's graded a 6. Yeah, it's a 6.
Nice.
But yeah, nice and cheap too. Beautiful. Just looks great.
Who needs a rookie card when you have a card like that, right, Jeremy?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, man. So that's those were the pickups. I kind of wanted to share those, get those out of the way. I'm still posting cards to my new Instagram account, jlee_cards. So check that account out. Guys, if you haven't followed me on that account yet on Instagram, jlee_cards. I've got about 27 posts up so far. I'm going to keep on doing more, but
so that last stack were cards that you found at the expo that you bought. You didn't have the deals for those previously, right?
Exactly. They were all found at the expo. Like the first deal I did was buying these 3. These 3 came together. The 2 Jackies and this Mario Lemieux triple patch all came together in one deal.
Not a bad start to the weekend, huh?
No, those 2 Jack. I mean, listen, I saw probably 85% of the showcases in the show, maybe 80. I don't think I saw any more Jackie Robinson game used memorabilia pieces. I don't think I saw any like Ty Cobbs or Lou Gehrig's or mantle, maybe a couple mantles, but not much else from that pre-war era. So
now in the future, if you find these Jackies, are you going to be trying to pick them up whenever you find them, or do you have enough? What's your thought?
Well, it's interesting. Great question, because right now for my personal collection, unless I find a card where I think it looks really nice, I probably don't need to buy it if I don't like the looks of the card. However, it's still Jackie memorabilia. Like these are post playing days cards with playing days memorabilia. So to me, there are exceptions to any no post playing day cards rules that anybody might have, but hey, collect as you will. So my point is that I'd only add more if I really like them. However, I also think that my personal thoughts is that they are good value investment type pieces. I think they're really great that way. So I probably would buy some more just to tuck them away for later. You know, why not? Like, I think they're great.
Yeah, they are.
So yeah. So listen, David Chase, you have a new show. You are all over the place now. This is the biggest superstar on YouTube right here.
God.
David Chase, everybody. You just started a new show. Okay, after we have this chat, we're going to go to comments, guys. You just started a new show. Episode 1 dropped this past week called The Midlife Card Chase, a collaboration between you and Greg from Midlife Cards. And I watched that first episode, loved it. It was great. What's it like starting up your own show with Greg?
Weird, but it's great. I mean, Greg and I we're friends off of podcasts. We talk on the phone, we text each other all the time, and it's really just bringing our conversation onto a podcast. And you know, I mean, look, this is crazy. I'm just a normal collector, and I've now become friends with Jeremy Lee, his Sports Cards Live, and Greg Midlife and his Heartbreaker crew. It's just pretty an unbelievable situation. So I love it. It's like really fun to talk to him and just be silly and wacky and then talk about sports cards at the same time. But really, it's pretty much the same conversation we have over the phone that just brought over to podcast, you know?
Yeah. And are you guys doing that on the Sports Card Clubhouse channel? I believe. Yeah. So I was watching
every 2 weeks.
That channel has lots of different programming going on right now. I also watched the latest episode with Tony and Mike Petty. And
was that one of the funniest things you've ever seen? I was cracking up like I've never laughed before.
Always.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm cracking up anytime I'm in the presence of Mike Petty and Tony. Got kudos to Tony for kind of wrangling that show, you know, but I have to say, David, there's some internal battles going on on the Sports Card Clubhouse platform. Lots of internal competition for views and ratings. And I mean, I think those guys, I think Petty and Tony are a little bit concerned that the new Midlife Card Chase might just shoot up to number 1 on the channel. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, How do I feel? I don't care about beating them. I care about beating Junkwax Mike. Okay. I want Tony and Petty to be at the very top. All right. If we could even be both at the top together, but we need Junkwax Mike to be down a couple of steps because he, you guys will hear that he kind of spit in my face a little bit in a playful way of making me seem a little bit lesser than compared to the rest of the people that we went out to a meal with. But at the same time, it's all in good fun, you know. But we do need to beat his channel no matter what. That's a number one goal.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Take down Mike. Take down Mike Junkwax Hero. All right. Well, Laura, what is up, Laura? Good to see you. Welcome and happy Mother's Day Eve to all the mothers out there and everybody who's got a mother out there. And even if you don't anymore, you know, happy Mother's Day. Cardboard Man 2.0. What is going on? Jacob Dahl, Confluence. Yes, live from Calgary. It's Saturday. Hey, look, there he is. There is Greg. He is present on Card Sports. Let's go. Chris C. Oh, it's good to be back, says Joe P. for Hobby Prez. Kevin Hawthorne, good evening. What's happening? I Appeal Collector. Good evening. Good evening. Bill Betts. What's going on? Rob Starr is here. I saw Rob several times at the expo. Double O's card guy. He saw Sports Cards live. Yeah, we hung out today at the Calgary show. What's up, Jesse? Awesome guy. Jeff McMahon. What's going on? David Cooey from Muskegon, Michigan is here. The professor is here. Hodges gave the video a like. What's up, Hodges? Thank you for that. Stukes, good evening. Yankees fan. Jay Hawker. What is happening? David Cooey, did you score a Pedro Martinez from the card show I went to? I did not. The card show I went to today, I didn't get one new card for my collection. I couldn't find anything I wanted to buy on the whole show floor, but I did pick up these two Jerome McGinley Cup gold patches from a buddy of mine, Al. They're not new. They're both upgrades. Like, I have these already, so I'm just going to sell those and take these ones now. But thanks to Al for those. What's up, Orlando? Good to see you. Laura's jealous about my interview with Cujo. It was the second time I'd interviewed him in like 3 weeks, and he was great once again. Curmudgeon is here. Greg's Cards, what's happening? Mike Double V, what's going down? Piper, Mac, High Pop Professor, Brian. There's Dylan Double D, Vintage Baseball Cards. Guys, all these guys have channels. Check them out. I Appeal Collectors. I love the Gong Show. Highly recommended. Yeah, if you guys are into hockey, the Hockey Cards Gong Show is the premier hockey cards podcast on the planet. Absolutely. Chris from Missouri is here. What's up, Chris? Good to see you. Gord M, Cardboard Chaser. Good evening. The Ancient Coin Hour. All right, we got some coin people in the chat tonight. What's up, Ancient? Welcome to the show. Thank you, Orlando. Jay Hawker says, I'm speaking his language. He also enjoys picking up relic cards, but I tend to stick with relic cards of vintage players. Yeah, Jay Hawker, I hear you. Well, I like it all. What can I say? Jeff McMahon, never understood the dislike towards Isaiah Thomas. I think it's because he was not on the Dream Team. Something like that, right? I think
Michael Jordan made sure of it that he wasn't on the Dream Team. Right?
That's the problem. So Jordan collectors are not really into Isaiah Thomas, but I have some good memories being a Pistons fan in the 80s.
He's a bad boy.
Dukes used to watch Montana practice with the Chiefs. David Cooey knew. Yes. Well, I didn't. Yes, David Cooey. I have one, but it wasn't from the expo. I was dropped off to me there. Confluence loves 07 fabric of the game. So do I. Such great looking cards. Michael Jordan didn't like Isaiah Thomas. Jake Dahl, Jeremy, will you go for the Jim Thorpe jacket patch card? I probably would. Jacob, I probably would. Yes. What's up, Foul Ball? 3-0 Wild. Thank you, Laura. Sundin just picked up a Gordie Howe triple jersey with the Red Wings, Houston Aeros, and the Hartford Whalers swatches. That's very, very cool. Chris C loves my taste. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. Chris C got a deal on a 96 Atomic Refractor Griffey. Very, very nice. Mikey's Cards. Thank you guys. I appreciate all the compliments on my cards, guys, by the way. Dog Food Soup. I hope there's a Yager with eye appeal. What he's talking was when this card was in the showcase, was in Steve Angel's showcase at the expo, and it had the price sticker there, and over there it had a sticker that said eye appeal. And I think Chris Dog Food Soup, I think, like, put it on there and said, hey, just put eye appeal on there. It'll be funny. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, I go, Steve, I go, why does it say eye appeal? He goes, I don't know. It's got eye. He was just having some fun. But yes, Jesse says PSA hates thick cards. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never really had one graded by them. myself, I should say. Yes, I also like that it's in a Pens uniform, that Yager Confluence. Thank you. Bob Boozle says, if you're just joining us, Jeremy has been showing his pickups for the past 5 hours. Yes, 20 minutes into the show. Thanks, Boozle. Thank you for keeping me on alert. Luke Browning wants to know what those hockey cards go for. Yeah, money, just money, Luke Browning, just money. Sundin says, nice card, looks old school and timeless. Absolutely. What else we got here? Collector Charles is here. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Bill Betts purchased Chronosio last week and is loving it. He's learning it. That's great to hear. Bill, glad that is working out for you so far. What's this? Chris says you're supposed to be the number one choice. I think he's talking about PSA, and they don't like thick cards, and yet everybody makes thick cards. Makes perfect sense to me. Okay. Yeah, I can't speak for PSA. Midlife. Yes, dropping some monsters, Greg. Some monsters. Chris says PSA hates any card they can't upcharge. Confluence. Oh, well, I don't know that thing. They are okay. Lots.
PSA comments.
Lots of comments. Oh, here we go. My sports card hoard says David and Greg's show was great. David is a superstar. Right there. Superstar. Right there. Two of the best collabing on a podcast. David Chase and Midlife Greg. David is a star. Says, oh, lots of talk about David right now. Oh, Bob Boozle reminds me of Mark Wahlberg's Rise in Rockstar.
I'll take it.
Mookie, I appreciate it. My pickups are dizzying. So great. Greg and David's podcast is must-see TV, even if they are wrong about Oreos. I've heard way too much content about Oreos lately, guys. Just put them in your mouth and deal with it, all right? Come on.
Dude, that was literally like a 5-second question that I was saying to be silly to Greg, not even thinking that he was going to talk about that on a real show, and it turned into so much content. It's funny. Yeah.
Look at West 238 says, I've been voting down all the Junk Wax episodes for you, David. Jeff says, I love the story of Jeremy having to vouch for Dr. Beckett's personal check. That if you've listened to Dr. Beckett's, not his most recent, but his second most recent podcast episode, he talked about his experience up in Toronto. And he wanted to tell me this story, but I said, I want to hear it on the podcast. So as we were saying goodbye on Sunday, I said, I'll wait until the episode comes out. But yeah, you guys can go listen to Dr. Beckett's episode on that. It was a funny story, but yeah, basically I had to, I don't know if I had to vouch for Dr. Beckett, but I vouched for Dr. Beckett and somebody took his check at the Toronto show. Mookie says it's a good thing that Junk Wax Hero Mike has been asleep since 7 p.m. He won't hear this.
That's true.
Did
they not know who Dr. Beckett was? Did they not know who he was? Did they not know who Dr. Beckett was?
No, he doesn't go up to a table and really introduce himself. He just, he's very modest, and he just sort of goes to the tables. And at one point I was walking back from the stage to my booth, and because my booth was like his home base, but I saw him in the morning and I saw him at the end of the show and then at dinner. And only a couple times did he kind of hang out at the booth for a little bit. But at one point, I'm walking back from the stage to my booth, and I see him sitting on a chair on the other side of a table, going through dollar boxes, and he's got his piles going. It was great to see,
just like you would expect him to be. It's
exactly.
Awesome.
What's up, Michael Ham, Sven Patrick? Good to see you. Thank you, Larry Gitlin. Thank you. Bob Boozle. Does anyone have any ancient Greek coins with Matt Damon on them? The professor watched Isaiah Thomas at college. Laura, so much for 3-1 the Wild. Okay, 4-1 now for the Wild. Duke says Dr. Beckett was incognito. He wasn't hiding. He was just not, I think he just doesn't want to, I don't think he wants to be, my name's Dr. James Beckett, and then people might feel like they have to give him a deal, or like he's just being himself. It's great. I got to witness that a lot this weekend. Chad Shipper saying hello. Such a great time at the expo. Great dinners with you, your father, Josh, and Dr. Beckett. Yeah, we had a great time, Chad. It was great hanging out with Chad at the dinners as well. All right, we're at the bottom of the comments now. David Leighton's joined us. Let's bring Leighton on and let's go. Leighton, here we go. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Where'd he go? There he is. Good, buddy.
Leighton.
You think I'm new on StreamYard here? How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Doing well. So very disappointed, you guys. Thursday, I get a text from Leighton. I'm thinking, oh, he's here. I'm going to bring him his badge. No, it's Leighton telling me, don't think I'm going to be able to make it up north for the show. Jeremy, got to go work on some deal somewhere. Maybe I'll come up tomorrow, which of course at that point, it's probably not going to happen. And it did not happen. So Leighton, it was disappointing. I'm sorry we didn't get to see you, but what kept you away from the expo?
Sure. So first, I was supposed to go up Thursday and come back Friday night because my son had baseball Saturday. So it was a very tight time frame anyway. So someone reached out and said, local, I have some cards I'd like to sell. And we got some images and such, and we did a preliminary evaluation. And basically he said that not only did he want to sell them, usually it's not like this. And, we didn't ask too many questions, but, he said, listen, I'm looking to make a decision fast. And so he not only had a 1961 Fleer basketball set, but the way he tells his story is that in 1964, he was a young kid, and that wherever he was living, I guess his family had access to like a local 5 and dime. And that for that specific year, he remembers, I forgot how he put it. I think he called it packets. And I said, well, it sounds like you opened up a lot of packets. He said, yeah, well, my dad brought me I don't know, what do you call that? I'm like, is it a box? He's like, yeah, there was probably like a few dozen packets in it. I said, well, how many of these, packets do you think you opened? He's like, probably hundreds. I'm like, oh my God, do you know? So let me rewind. So in 1964, at like the height of his collecting, along with his family, his parents being involved, he completed a 1964 Topps baseball set, card by card, out of packs. And just to prove that he actually did it, even though I didn't need proof because I could see the cards, he had hundreds and hundreds of the coins from 1964. And if you know anything about 1964 Topps coins, two things. One, they were inserted at one per pack or packet, to quote this gentleman. And then number two, if at all they've been played with, because they're tarnished, they're rusted, etc. And these things are I can picture them in my mind now. They're gleaming. So what I thought might not be a deal at all, Jeremy, kind of came to be very quickly. And he said, can I meet with you Thursday? And I kind of stuttered. I'm like, I did one of those. And I said, well, what's your time frame for selling? So in other words, if he had said to me, I'm going to get an eval, I'd like to think about it for a few weeks. Great. Can we reschedule for Monday? And I'd love to see you. And Jeremy, he made it very clear that he can. I think we talked late Wednesday that he really wanted to see me Thursday because by the end of the weekend, he wanted to make a decision. And I explained to him that on Saturday, basically Friday night, I was coming back. Saturday, I had my son and had the ball game. But I said I could probably see you on Sunday. And he said, and I quote, he said, Leighton, I really like you and your company. And I'm willing to wait maybe a couple days, but I can't guarantee you that the cards will be around on Sunday. And so I had to make a decision as to what to do. And so I decided to look at the cards. But even though I missed the trip, I did get to buy the collection.
Well, that's okay. That's good. But I have issues here, Leighton. I have issues. I have two issues with this story. My first issue is Leighton. Leighton's left is there he is. He's
I dropped the mic.
I have two issues, Leighton. The first one is that you let this guy push you around. That's my first issue. The second issue is that this guy pushed you around. You had a trip planned and he wasn't.
Yes, but if you met him, there was definitely he wasn't working the system. It may appear now that he was working the system, but this was an older gentleman who just, candidly made the decision that he was going to move forward. And it was interesting because we made a video with him afterwards, and he specifically named someone, which I'm not going to name here, that he was going to see. So he definitely meant business. But you're right, Jeremy. I did get worked over. Hold on 1 second.
David, am I
off in this story? This is a crazy story. It's 64, not 54. What's going on here? You
Right,
know,
like, David, I'm not out of line here having issues with this, am I? Like, first of all,
100%.
Oh, listen,
I feel
61
like
clear
that's
basketball
another
set
excuse.
wasn't as nice, but I think it's a great set.
yeah, but
Oh, it's-
Leighton, this guy not only pushed you around, he impacted my experience. I didn't get to hang out with you at the Sport Card Expo.
So for whatever it's worth, he said to me, and I quote, he said, if you are out, he was like a very old school type gentleman. He goes, if you are out any money for your hotel, I'm willing to cover that because I would really like to meet with you. So I knew he was serious about selling. And no, I did not charge him for my lost hotel, which I could not cancel, by the way.
How about if you didn't close the deal, Leighton? How would you have felt then?
Much worse. Definitely.
Did he tell you to send apologies to me?
No, unfortunately, he doesn't know you, and I know you're going to feel worse about that. And I said, "What do you mean? You don't know Jeremy Lee?"
I don't like this
Guy's
guy.
obviously not really in the hobby, then, Leighton.
No, well, that's exactly it. He's definitely, and you'll have video evidence, by the way, of all of this soon coming to a video near you on Just Collect's YouTube channel. But I asked him. It was funny because I said, "Well, I remember, you're telling me you opened all these packets." I said, "Where's the wrappers?" And he's like, "Yeah, we didn't save those." And so I made him feel doubly as bad. I said, "Well, first off, your set's worth a lot of money." But I said, "You understand, if you had hundreds of unopened 1964 Topps baseball packs, even the worst series is very, very good." And so, as he was describing to me, it wasn't like that back then. Anyway, I don't want to occupy the whole show because I already feel that I've not made the right decision. But I am happy with the card, though.
He has content on that deal. He missed the content on the expo. He could have had a
I
few
did,
videos.
but I was able to watch a bunch of it, and certainly I saw like I missed a good time. That's for sure.
You missed a good time, but Mookie Chilson brings up a good point. He says that Jeremy wants remuneration from this seller, Leighton. Maybe I get a 64 coin for impacting my experience negatively. Because for the weeks leading up, guys, Leighton's coming to the expo. I'm gonna get to hang out with Leighton and
we're gonna go to the dinner on Thursday night. We get to hang out. Listen, are you kidding me? I was ready for my cards. I should have shown you. I had like a 6-card display. On each card, I had a message. None of them were for sale. But I learned from the last time I was there with you, if I put buying O-Pee-Chee baseball on a card, I ended up buying a nice O-Pee-Chee baseball deal because of that. So I had these like 5 or 6 different cards with message. Well,
Leighton,
certainly there'll be a time in the future, that's for sure.
You wouldn't believe all the O-Pee-Chee baseball that came by my booth this weekend.
I knew that was next.
Well, you would have been, and I didn't want any of it. So I would, hey.
Well, of course, you're like, that's trash. Send it to Long Hair Larry.
Want it. Yeah. What else is going on, buddy? What else is happening lately with Leighton Just Collect? Any other great stories? Any other big collection pickups that you can share with us?
Sure. So we've been very busy, but I came with an idea because I know you're always giving us homework. And now that we have like this new group chat, I want to make sure that I'm doing my homework. And so before I before I talk about that idea, I actually want to show off a PC pickup. Shout out to our buddy Al from Love of the Game.
And yes, and we also have to talk about our latest episode of Vintage Spotlight, which dropped this past week.
I had a few people text me and like felt pretty passionate about the draft. So they're looking forward to seeing future drafts.
Good. That's great to hear. So let's see the PC pickup.
Hopefully this comes out okay. So this is a T206 signed Rube Marquard, but it's not just signed. It actually has a Hall of Fame inscription. And I thought that was really, really cool. I've not really seen that many pre-war cards that have inscriptions like that. And as you know, Rube Marquard was one of like the last, I think either the last or one of the last Hall of Famers and or players to pass away from the 06 set. So I already have the portrait signed, and the fact that I could pick that out from Al's auction. I bid on a bunch of stuff, but that's one of my favorite things I picked up.
Very nice. Hey, I love when you come with a PC pickup. That's great. But okay, awesome. David, any comments on the Marquard?
It's beautiful. Yeah, never seen a signed one before. Very impressive.
Christy says, Lord Farquhar. Oh, I like this. Orlando, the deal is more important than Jeremy. Yeah, Orlando.
Obviously. Yeah.
Orlando is picking up what I'm picking up as well. So I appreciate that, Orlando, validating what I thought I was hearing there. Definitely hearing that too. Yankees fan wants to know, Leighton, did you get the 6-1 basketball set as well?
We did. It wasn't as clean as the 64s. I mean, I don't usually say this because obviously predicting grades, with PSA is just, I don't even know what to compare it to. It's not easy to do, that's for sure. But I really think there should be a handful of 10s coming out of the set.
Wow.
The 64 tops baseball, not the 61 Fleer basketball. The 61 Fleer basketball is nice, but it's not packed fresh. So, but anyway, there is some other goodies in that collection, but that was really the highlight of it.
Well, let's hear you. You seems like you came with a topic or a question. Well, what do you got what's on your mind?
Oh, I do. So, I mean, listen, it might be loved, it might be hated, but I remember when I was a kid, I think we did this in like 3rd grade or 5th grade. I don't remember exactly, but we did like a blind Santa, right? And I don't even know exactly what that means, honestly, anymore, because it could mean a whole bunch of different things, right? And I don't want to I don't want this thing to become perverse quickly. So I'm referring to what if we did something at the National and we called it like a blind national trade-off, where everyone enters and either I'm making this up. There's either one dollar amount for everybody. You kind of throw it in the hat and you exchange, and you end up that you go to the National this year, and if you go and you participate in this, you're going to get a new card. That's it. And you can make it as little as $5 or $10. You could make it $100. You could really make it whatever you wanted. But I thought it was kind of cool. So for me, my idea was wow, I would take, I'm making this up, $100, a $200 vintage graded card. And I would say, you know what? Give me back a different sport I don't collect as much. Like if you gave me a vintage hockey card, I'd happily give a vintage baseball card. That was really it.
Okay. So are you this is an idea, it's a concept that you're proposing. Are you actually proposing this? Are you trying to kick this off? Because this is something that could get.
I mean, I didn't know. So people don't know this. Jeremy and I have a formal, process where we have to have a paper signed and documents filled out in order to consider new ideas. Jeremy, I had no idea. I just came here with this in terms of let's have some fun. Jeremy always asks me to have ideas. I want to make sure that if we start texting next week, that I'm on the good side of things with this text message chain, that I came with an idea. But in all seriousness and the joking aside, I actually think it'll be a super fun idea. I don't know who would administer this, but imagine a big barrel, right?
You administer it.
It's your idea, buddy. You're the
is this for the masses, or is this just for the crew?
It could be for whoever we want, but to be fair, the masses of the Nationals now 100,000 plus. I'm going to need some of that moonshine, David, for opening up to the masses.
I know 100% I'm buying a card for somebody, and that person who's supposed to buy my card is not showing up. That's 100% happening. But it's a good idea. It's a good idea in theory.
I miss hanging out with you guys and the show, that's for sure.
Well, it's been a couple of weeks. We had no show last week, but we do have a couple comments really quick here. Boozle says he could be slinging beers at a pub for money, but he's watching Jeremy right now and the rest of us. Boozle, always good to hear you. Chris from Missouri. No, I don't think you told me, Chris, that Auction Wire sponsored the meet and greet at the Strongsville show. So that's great to hear. Leighton and Mark, and I think you guys have another partner or two perhaps, but Auction Wire is definitely getting some legs. I'm seeing more and more people talking about auctionwire.ai. Check it out, guys. Absolutely. Mike Good, I think the conversation with the cards went Jeremy who. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure that's exactly how it would have gone. It's called the Secret Santa, by the way, Leighton. It's called Secret Santa.
I see. That's the thing. I didn't remember what it was called, but I just knew I really liked it. My mom sent me to school with this thing that I could care less about, and I came home with a new toy. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world.
Well, listen, your idea, your Secret Santa or whatever we call it, I don't want, listen, this is your thing, Leighton, all right? I'm not taking charge here. You're not delegating that one to me here on May the 9th.
And what's your email? You have 3,000 people that are going to contact you about this.
Leighton just started a brand new business, and it's all charitable. There's no It's just he's giving away his time very graciously.
Leighton's Secret Santa at the National, everybody. 2026.
Here, look at this. Luke Browning says there's another podcast that has been doing a Secret Santa for at least 4 years. And I mean, I'm in one of the group chats I'm in on Instagram with a bunch of guys. There's been a Secret Santa there for like 6 or 7 years running already. But oh my gosh, I can't.
And I'm not trying to take it over. So God bless. And I think you should definitely check those out.
I can't even tell you who used to administer that one. And oh my goodness, no, I'm not willing to share that information. I know I'm going to get some DMs, but wow. Yeah, that's I don't have good experiences with Secret Santas. Let me put it to you that way.
Okay.
So I'm out.
Like, are you scarred from when you were a kid?
No, I'm scarred. No, I'm scarred from Instagram Secret Santas.
Oh, okay. I mean, I was trying to keep things light, but I'm thinking you went to school with like a $2, whatever, and you came home with like a 50-cent sticker. You really pissed.
No, I'm also scarred from the episode of The Office where they did that.
Okay.
And Jim's present that he had very specifically for Pam ends up going to like Kevin or something like that. Like, no. So Secret Santas, I don't know. But listen, I will participate once you roll this out, Leighton. When are you opening up? When are you opening it up for registrations?
I'm not sure, but let's change the subject because I didn't realize that I was in charge.
I have a question after that is hilarious. And by the way, I've had bad luck at Secret Santas too. I've been in corporate America for a lot of my life. I've done a million of those. I have so many salad spinners and candles that I've had to open. I always give a bottle of booze, which is like what everybody wants.
I figured you did.
Yeah.
So what's your question, David Chase?
Okay, I have a question for Leighton. So Leighton, you know, a lot of people come to you to sell their collections, which is great. You have such a great name in the hobby. But when you set up at a show, I've been hearing from my dealer friends, it's really tough right now to be buying cards, right? To be able to gain inventory. And I know, Jeremy, you set up at a show recently too. Is it really hard for you at a show to be buying these days? What's going on with that?
Well, that's a really good question.
Go ahead, Leighton. You take it. Go ahead.
This is a really good question, David. And I agree with the people that you've been talking to. So number one, it's definitely challenging. And to be clear, the math should make sense as to why it's challenging. You have 100 people or whatever the amount of people that are in this room on top of the collectors walking around who also might have an ear to the ground. So it's really challenging. And it's part of the reason why when our company sets up at a convention, that I really do walk the floor. I mean, I do enjoy walking the floor. It's a lot of action. It's fun. I get to see friends. Well, in most cases, except when I bail on trips like going to Toronto. But, getting back to center, that's part of the reason why I like walking the floor, David, is because I can make, deals happen and such. But absolutely, I don't remember a time in which, we log this. We know how many people come up to us at the Philly show and bring us cards for sale. Forget about how much we spend, because we have metrics and we want to try to improve upon that. So what do we need to do? Try to get more people to bring us cards for sale, at an actual convention. But it's a great question.
For me, David, at the Toronto Expo, which is the second biggest show in the world, I had a lot of people come up to my booth asking if I was buying, because I don't have one of those big buying signs. And I say, yeah. I always say, well, where do you think I got all these cards from? You got to get them somewhere. But I always say, yeah, I'll take a look at what you have. And I did pick up, I think, a couple cards that way, but not a lot, and certainly no big collections. They probably just didn't make it far enough into the show, to me, is what I would think. If the one, I'm for sure some came, but none of them made it that far back to myself. But I like to go shopping at other vendors' booths and find cards, but I'm not really out there looking just for cards for my showcase. I'm looking for cards for my collection, and that's kind of my number one priority. And I found a few, as I showed earlier in the show. But as far as buying cards at card shows for as inventory, I think and even for yourself, once you get out there, a lot of it might already be gone, because there are people in there, and we all know this. There are guys out there as early as they can be cleaning out a lot of the inventory. But it's not like it's all gone. There's still lots left. I found some cards on Sunday at the show, at a four-day show. So it's always, I think a lot of these dealers are turning over inventory within the 4-day show, sometimes within a day. Like the inventory turnover time, it might be as fast as a couple hours in some cases. I made one trade. I traded away a couple of modern Tom Brady slabs, and the guy traded me a Carl Yastrzemski rookie card and a Chris Chelios rookie card. So Chelios is 84. Yaz is what, 60, 61, something like that.
60.
And I sold both of those cards within an hour and a half of trading for them for
That's
more
cool.
than the stickers on the 2 cards I traded away. So anyway,
Nice.
it's I don't know, man. I just love the wheeling and the dealing, and it would be nice to be able to buy more cards to fill up the showcases, because I sold a lot in Toronto to the point where I need to find more so I can continue setting up. So but I think it is tougher and tougher to buy nowadays. People have more ways to sell themselves, right? Whether it's using Chronosio or selling to Leighton or selling on Slab Sharks or wherever. People have a lot of options nowadays. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, David?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been hearing, is that it's just there's so much competition right now, and that there's a lot of dealers that are paying such high prices to buy cards, which is great for us, great for the collectors. But I've just been hearing that a lot, that right now I've been told it's very easy to sell. You can sell on social media, you can sell on eBay, you could sell at card shows, and there's a lot of people with a lot of money that are willing to buy right now. But to replenish the inventory for the kind of cards you want can be a little bit more difficult, which is why, Leighton has his name out there, where he's such a trusted name, where a lot of people are just going straight to you and you're not having to buy at card shows, which is great, right? You've built up your brand, which is amazing, right?
Leighton?
Thanks. Well, I appreciate it. I mean, listen, I'm still trying to buy card shows because, as you're both alluding to, we're selling inventory faster than ever. So, we're trying to fill the funnel from a variety of different tentacles, and whatever it takes to try to do that, we're going to do that. But yes, to answer your original question, it's as challenging as ever to buy card shows. And, honestly, it's why the relationships are as important as ever. But I think it's like that in any other business. I have lots of friends that are in a variety of different businesses, not in cards, and they talk about that, where, just because they've known someone for a long time, but it's really because they play softball with them, or they play tennis with them, or they do golf, semi-annually, whatever the case is. So wherever you can get an edge, I think that's what people are going to be trying to do.
At Toronto, I had a bunch of Cup RPAs, rookie patch autos, hockey ones, and priced several priced under $20. And I had a guy come up to me. He was up from somewhere in Texas. I think it was up from the Dallas area. And he's looking through and he sees all these and he says to me, if I took all the ones that are priced under $20, could we work something out? And I'm thinking to myself, cha-ching, I'm going to move the lowest end stuff now and keep the better stuff. That's what I want. I want to keep the stuff that is showcase worthy, right? So I'm like, this is great. And he took them all. And I said to him, I said, what are these for? He says, I'm buying them for my friend down south who is going to be selling them on Whatnot. And I said, okay, I mean, fine. I don't do Whatnot myself. I don't want to do Whatnot myself, but this guy's probably going to double or triple their money, maybe more. I don't know. But these are all really nice patch cards of players that don't really matter. Where if I was selling them on Whatnot, I probably would feel bad that people are buying these cards because they're nobodies, but they're nice patches. So anyway, it was just a sign that these Whatnot buyers are out in full force looking for bulk at good prices, where in that case, the player didn't even matter. The player didn't even matter. I mean, that's the first thing I look at is the player or the subject. That's the first thing I look at when I'm buying a piece for my collection. So that was kind of first of all, it was a great sale. I was super happy about it because, it's one of those things where, you pick up a big collection sometimes and you want to, the way I do it, the way I like to do it is I want to sell all the low end stuff. And if I can make my money back on the low end stuff, and then the high end stuff becomes kind of the profit, the margin, and that's the stuff in the showcases, that's kind of fun. And because the low end stuff, so if I sold the expensive stuff first and I was left with the low end stuff, I probably would have blown out the low end stuff for even cheaper, because it's I've already made my money back and added a few pieces to my own collection, etc. But those Whatnot buyers are out in full force. Couple comments, quick guys. Ray from Philly, who's running the Baseball Card Hall of Fame ballot right now. It is up. If you go to his channel, you'll find a link in one of his videos to the ballot. I filled out both of mine, the modern or the pre-war and the post-war. So thanks to Ray for that. And hello, Ray from Philly. Stuke says, my bank account says it's too easy to buy. Yeah, I'm sure. And Jeff Will says, that's what happened in stocks in the 90s. Brokers stopped making huge commissions when the discounters came in. The hobby is getting more liquid. Absolutely, it is. And Chris C just ordered a nice SPX 90s die cut of Merrill Lemieux into the 90s binder. It will go. Absolutely. Good. Congratulations. Kamikaze, we three dorks of baseball cards are. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but
that's like Yoda. That's like Yoda talking right there.
Yes. Oh, thank you for clarifying that, David. And yes, we are three dorks of baseball cards, but we are also very proud of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, we are.
All right. David?
One last thing I want to say. You didn't really mention it, but briefly, Vintage Spotlight that you guys were on.
Oh, yeah.
I loved this episode that you guys just had. By the way, get it together, guys. You need to have that on way more regularly. I love that show. I've always said it. But what you guys do as a draft this time, I am such a dork, as Kamikaze said, that I love that stuff. And I am I was very frustrated in yelling at the screen because you guys forgot the 34 Gowdy Gehrig. I'm very upset that was missed. The 52 Bowman Mantle was missed, which I really, really love. So just wanted to put my 2 cents in there, but great show, both of you. Check that out.
Go leave a comment on the video, David Chase.
I'll do that.
I think you did.
You did. I know. Yeah, we dropped that episode. We had a great time recording. That was only really round 1 of the draft, guys. We are going to be doing more rounds of that vintage draft, sports card draft. We did pre-53 baseball on the first on the most recent Vintage Spotlight episode, which is on the Vintage Spotlight podcast and YouTube channel. Guys, Leighton, final comments to you on tonight. We're gonna switch things up here. We're gonna bring on Dean Kinzer of Kinzer Coins, and I'm really excited about this segment, everybody. And trust me, it's gonna be great. Leighton, final comments from you, buddy.
No, listen, I had a great time tonight. It's good to be back and nice seeing everyone. I'm going to tune in to see what's going on.
All right. Yeah. Please do tune in, Leighton. Love to hear your thoughts on this later. And David, you as well. You'll be joining us back here in about an hour or so, along with Joe Perot, Chris McGill, and Josh Adams. So, guys, thank you very much. We'll see you later and soon.
Tell the boys I said what's up. Bye.
We'll do. Tell them I says what's up. All right, guys. We are now going to bring Dean Kinzer on from Kinzer Coins, everybody. And okay, we're just going to bring Dean. Here we go.
Let's do it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
We can hear you. Welcome
to
Sports Cards Live, Dean. It's good to have you. You're probably new to a lot of the viewers here and listeners, but welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. I've been enjoying listening to this. A lot of these conversations are very similar to what we have in the coin market. A lot of the talk about where the inventory comes from and where it goes out. We do frequent whatnot and all kinds of the same, digital streaming services so that we can move inventory. So it's great to hear it. And plus, I loved hearing about a 34 Gowdy, Lou Gehrig, and a 60 Carl Yastrzemski rookie card. Yeah. Those are real neat cards.
Well, Dean, I have a lot to talk about with you tonight, and I've really been I'm not kidding when I say I've been excited about this conversation, and the reason why is because listen, this is Sports Cards Live. This is not Ancient Coins Live, right? This is a card show. So when we started talking, at first I'm like, well, I don't know, because this is sports cards. But I thought, no. This is a great opportunity for myself, the Sports Cards Live audience, the viewers, the listeners, to look at what we do through a different lens, as well as to draw a whole bunch of parallels between the two hobbies. Absolutely. And see if we can learn anything. I also want to ask you sort of at the end is what does the coin collection think what does the coin hobby think that sports card collectors are crazy? There's got to be something you think we're crazy about, and maybe we think there's something crazy about coin collecting, but I can't think of anything. I don't know of anything right now, but there's so many so many different. I've got a page and a half of notes here that I want to get into with you. So
do you want me to go a little bit? So because I do have a background in baseball cards, that's how I grew up, right? My father was a avid baseball card collector, to the tune of millions of cards. You're talking about a guy that was his number one priority. So his baseball card room was lined with T3 turkey red boxing, the giant boxing cards from the early 1900s with like Jack Johnson and all those. His first collection, the thing that he was most proud of was his 58 top set. He completed that in 1958.
Oh, wow.
And that's because he was a Ted Williams fan, and Ted Williams starts that set and ends that set. And that's so he collected baseball cards forever. I went to shows in the 80s and 90s, was helpful carrying around showcases and all kinds of boxes of cards. But at the same time, back then, cards and coins used to be married together a lot more than what I see now. A lot of the shows kind of shared. And, as my dad got older and his collections, kind of stabilized, and let's say as he got older, he kind of sold off some of the more expensive stuff. And then he passed away, and I had to part with his collection. And people came from all over the US looking for these baseball cards that he had, football cards, hockey cards, basketball cards. But as I was parting with his sets, there was a series of coins that he had that really kind of boggled my mind. And they were ancient coins, coins from the time of Christ. And I could not believe that they were a collectible, something that you could buy readily available, easy to collect, and all this kind of stuff. So it blew my mind. And so I come from a background of baseball card collecting. My first packs of cards were 85 tops with Mark McGwire, all those guys. And so I have a background in this, but because the parallels are very similar, it's very interesting to talk about both. And I love talking about both.
And that's what I want to get into, are some of these parallels. But first I want to mention, in the sports card hobby, the most famous card shop in all of the land is Burbank Sports Cards in Burbank, California, run by Rob Veras and family. And they started out as a coin shop. In the early days, it was a coin shop that dabbled in cards. So when you say that that coins and card hobbies are very related, right down to the dealer level, and still there are still traces of it in our, when I say our, I'm talking sports card hobby to this day. So I think you're right about that. And I'm gonna listen. I got a lot to get through, so I'm gonna jump. But I'm glad you gave us your history and where you're coming from, because. But before I do, I have to go to a couple comments from the chat here. Chris, any questions, guys, leave to the end, because we're gonna cover a lot of those things. But Foul Ball says, what's next week? Stamp collecting? No, Foul Ball. But the week after, I have something else. But I'm not going to tell you yet. I'm going to make you wait. I'm going to make you wait, Foul Ball, to find out what that is going to be. But we do have another one of these coming from a different area. And I listen, I'm excited about it. But let's get into it. The first thing, Dean, that I want to talk to you about, and again, this might not be, the order of topics might not be like optimal, but it is what it is. So in sports card collecting, we have a lot of different ways you can collect. We have player collecting. We have Hall of Fame collecting. We have team collecting, set building, all these different things. In the world of coins, how do people collect? Is there something like player collecting or set collecting or themed? How does that work in coins?
In ancient coins, it's actually a pretty common thing, collecting by themes. And I've actually on my website kind of set up checklists because, like I said, my background is in baseball cards, and that's how I collect, right? And so there are a lot of themes. Number one, ancient Greeks were big fans of sports. So there are sports coins from 300 BC with wrestlers on them, with their Olympic slingers on them. There are coins with boxers' gloves on them to represent kind of the toughness of Rome. There's a series of sports coins in ancient coins. But with a lot of these, there's a lot of collectible sets. One of them, and I actually have an example here, very small, sorry about that, but this is a denarius of Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius is one of the 5 good emperors. So you can put together a set of Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, uh, 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 and I'm trying so Antoninus Pius and Marcus Aurelius, and that's a collection of the 5 best emperors that ever ruled Rome. Those coins are always going to be worth something, always going to be interesting, and they're 2,000 years old, and collectible. And you can get them in the slabs, just like you have baseball cards in. They can be graded. They grade, similar, very much so, to baseball cards. But there are a lot of themes. One of the emperors, Justinian, from the 500s AD, he was one of the guys, the early guys, that put years on the back of his coins. So you can collect a coin from every year of his reign, from the beginning to the end. Similar to Nero. Nero is somebody that you can follow how he kind of developed from a young man into a heavyset older man through the age of his coins. You can follow all kinds of things. There's animal sets. There's one of the coins I have here is a Antoninus Pius bronze from Alexandria, Egypt, and on the reverse here is Taurus, which is the sign, or the astrological sign. And there's a series of 13 of these coins that you can collect all of the astrological symbols associated with. So there are numerous types of ancient coins that you can pair together to make sets. The biggest set of all time, I would say the T206 or the 1952 tops of ancient coins is the Julio Claudians, and that starts with Julius Caesar and ends with Titus Domitian. With Nero. And so you can collect Julius Caesar, Augustus, all the way to the end of their reign. That's another popular one. People do it in silver, people do it in gold. And that's an incredible collection that people always strive for. So similar, very similar. You can collect whole sets.
So you can collect those 5 good emperors, and that might be the same thing as collecting, a key card or the rookie cards of the Mount Rushmore of a certain sport or all sports. That would be because if I'm a card collector, which I am, and I want to say, okay, Dean, I want to dabble in coins. I just want to build a small collection just to wet my whistle a little bit. Maybe I go for the 5 good emperors, as you called them, and have one coin from each of their reigns. And are these coins that feature their portrait, sort of, that came out like after they were dead, sort of in honor of them, or are these coins that they commissioned themselves and had their people strike and create?
Yes. So they were minted mostly during their reigns. So like this coin that I showed you with Marcus Aurelius, this is him when he was very young, long before the beard that you guys are familiar with, very young, as a Caesar. And on the reverse is his boss, who was the Augustus, the guy who was in charge of Rome, Antoninus Pius. And so he commissioned this coin to show off that his reign will be followed by Marcus Aurelius, because he's that important, because coins were a form of propaganda. They were a way to communicate what the headquarters, what the empire wanted to talk about. Each of these Roman coins will have legends similar to what we have in current state, and they're written in Latin, but you can understand their names. There are codes or shortened words so that you can understand what they mean. But it's very easily understood. It's designed so that you can see the emperor's face very clearly and what message they're trying to convey. Oftentimes, these are struck incredibly beautiful. The portraiture for 2,000 years ago is incredible. You got to understand that when they minted these coins, they hand carved the dies to make them and then struck them. And so the artist who created the die did so by hand, but they were qualified, quality artists that made these beautiful pieces of artwork.
Interesting, really interesting. Okay, so the way we collect in sports cards can be transferred. There are parallels to how you can collect coins, whether you want to focus on a certain emperor, or maybe I only want Julius Caesar on my coins, or Nero, or one of these guys who, again, I don't know these guys. I'm not very.
You're naming them pretty good.
Because you just said them. I'm not very up on my emperor history, but it certainly is history, just like in sports. Like sports, people often explain or answer the question, why do you collect sports cards? They will say, well, the history of the game, the history of baseball being America's pastime, the history of sports in America, the history of printing. I mean, coins are the history of currency, the history of transaction, of transacting. How important to the coin collecting community is the history of currency versus the history itself, like versus the history of the featured subjects. How important is it that this is the history of money, which to this day, thousands of years later, money is still an integral part of society? How much of collecting is based on ancient coins being ancient money?
Well, so a lot of the people are very interested in how the currency developed over time. Ancient coins were started to be manufactured in about 650 BC, if you think about how long ago that was. And they kind of started out as simple globs of electrum, gold and silver mix. But over time they developed, and as they were trying to outpace people who were counterfeiting, because they would, they developed art. They developed artwork to match the city that they represented. They developed these incredible pieces of artwork. And so you can see the kind of definition of time through these coins, right? How the history changed, how the process changed, and how it became more intricate over time. And you can start from 650 BC with a glob and go all the way to 1453 AD, and that will be a kind of a medieval hammered coin. So 2,000 years of history of coins. It shows an incredible difference, an incredible change over time, and it's really remarkable.
And people are passionate, and people are passionate about having that history in there. You know, I'm thinking right now about the history of currency, and now we got cryptocurrency, and I'm thinking, okay, what's the parallel there to sports cards? And it might be NFTs.
That's right.
Cryptocurrency to money is maybe NFTs to sports cards. Okay, I want to move on. I want to talk about condition criteria. Okay. You know, in sports cards, our four main criteria: centering, corners, edges, surface. Then you have color, print quality, which includes registration and these sorts of things. In cards, we are like, it's so second nature to think about those different aspects of a card. How do coins work? And then, if you can, draw me the parallels. What is there centering? Is there edges? Are there something like corners, surface, print quality, color? Take us through how that works in coins.
Sure. So the company that grades ancient coins is NGC. They've been grading them for a number of years now. Typically, coins go on a scale that I would say doesn't necessarily parallel collecting cards, but NGC has kind of refined that for ancient coins, and a lot of it's similar. So there's a grading scale that starts with good, very good, all the way up to what you would call mint. They call mint state, MS. That's the highest end quality of an ancient coin. So it goes through good, fine, very fine, excellent, almost uncirculated, and then mint state. So not really that different than ancient coins or than baseball cards. And then in a lot of cases, they also grade on stripe and how well the coin was struck. So the quality of the coin itself. The surface matters a lot, because a lot of times with these ancient metals, there can be corrosion or there can be some kind of issues with the metal that make it less appealing to a collector. So they'll point those kinds of things out. And another thing that we talked about previously was that sometimes over time people modified the coins. And so anytime a coin was modified, it will be identified by the grading service and say, you know, there's some kind of work done, whether it was for jewelry or something like that. So it identifies the strike quality, the surface quality, and then it goes on the good to near, or the mint state in terms of the quality of the coin. A lot of ancient coins are hand struck, so the centering isn't necessarily the be all end all, but a lot of times a really well centered coin will have a fine style, meaning that it was struck really well and appealing.
Okay. So fine style sounds to me like eye appeal.
Yes.
Centering you're saying it's not that important because these were hand struck, but just like in sports cards, you know, they weren't manufactured in the 1880s to the 1950s or 60s, where centering wasn't that important at the point of production. It's important now, decades later, but it wasn't important then, just like striking the coin wasn't. But now a coin that was perfectly struck in the middle, I would think has to have a,
Oh yeah.
coming from the sports card collector's mindset, to me, that would be more appealing to me because
Yes.
I look at everything through the sport card collector's lens. So you mentioned, so to me, the strike placement is a bit different than the strike quality. The strike placement would be centering, the strike quality would be boldness of color, that or registration, that kind of thing. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, and absolutely, and it would happen if the coin is graded where some of the image is off of the flan or the surface of the coin. Obviously, that degrades the quality of the coin, and it does not meet a high-end standard. So the ideal is a perfectly centered coin. Hard. It happens, but not always in ancient coins because they were hand struck. But yeah, all of that plays into the grade and the quality and the value of the coin.
So I did a bit of research into this, and I looked at the link you sent me to your website, which does a great job of taking the grading scale and explaining it. So condition criteria that I discovered: strike quality, which you mentioned, toning. I'm going to ask you to tell us what some of these are because I want to draw parallels. Toning, luster, surface preservation. I think you mentioned that. Original skin. I don't know if natural,
that's a bronze thing.
And then natural versus dipped coins. Okay, so strike quality, I think we understand. What is and try and keep
toning?
What's toning?
Okay, so if a coin has been out of the ground long enough and it was stored in a certain way, it will start to darken in a way that's highly appealing. So a lot of ancient coins that were in European collections in the 1800s and 1700s, they get a cabinet toning, and that really highlights the high points, and it really changes kind of the quality and the beauty. It's visual. Yeah. So toning adds quite a bit, and it shows that the coin has some kind of provenance. It's been outside of the ground for a number of years.
So toning we have toning in cards where it's been outside of the pack. It's been exposed to oxygen. So you said, I love that. I wrote it down, out of the ground, which is completely a secondary source. It's like a second life the coin gets. Whereas in cards, that's like an attic find sort of thing. Maybe it's similar to an attic find because these were manufactured decades ago. They're refound. For you guys, they're found for the second time centuries later. In cards, it's simply decades later. But I love out of the ground because to me that's kind of like being out of the pack. Okay, what now? If luster, is that the shine quality of the card?
Yep, that's right. That's right. And if you over clean them or something like that, if somebody over cleans them, that can take away from the luster and make it a dull finish that takes away from the eye appeal.
Surface preservation, simply has it been rubbed against other coins in pockets or underground?
Right. Or if somebody overcleaned and they may have like brushed it to the point where you can see the brush marks and stuff like that.
What is original skin? What does that refer to?
So again, a lot of times over time, some of these coins have been modified, and my understanding, or just kind of off the cuff of what we're talking about here, is that some of the bronze coins later on may have been, painted so that they would be consistently of a certain color, right? And so there is some fabrication with that. And then if the grader does identify that, then they will definitely call that out.
Thank you. Natural versus dipped. Now, this one's funny for us card guys because, we kind of talk about some services that are out there where someone can take your card, or you can take your card. You can actually dip it in a solution, give it the juice treatment is kind of a derogatory way of referring to it because it's frowned upon in many cases by a large portion of the sports card hobby. Frowns upon dunking your card in any solution. But is it frowned upon in the coin world?
Yeah, and so we talk about I think when we first talked about classic cars, right? And it's okay to make a resto mod, but some people aren't necessarily interested in having a 454 in a 57 Chevy. They'd rather have the original body or the original motor, the 289 or whatever. And so with ancient coins, there was a period of time where modifying them or bringing them back to original state was considered worthwhile. But now it's more like we cherish the originality. Even if the coin is in bad condition, we cherish the originality. It has not been modified. It is the original quality that it came out of the ground after knocking the dirt out of it or whatever. So heavy focus on keeping the coins original at this point.
You know, it kind of makes me think about cards like, why is it okay to damage a card naturally or like authentically as a kid, but not okay to try and reverse that later in the card's life? And
Right.
I think what you might have just helped me kind of understand that in my own mind when it comes to sports cards. When I forget what it was you exactly said, but I was thinking like an artifact that ages naturally and authentically is kind of one thing, but to try to reverse the aging of the artifact, whether it's a card or a coin, that's where I think the purist collector is offended. And so I think like people have, you know, I'm against reversing the aging of sports cards. I don't want to see that. I don't want to have cards that have had reverse aging. And I've had people say to me, but why? Why can't you restore it back to the way it looked? People have emailed me, and you know, very respectful. We agree to disagree. We move on. We can still be friends. Right. But now that I think of it in that frame, where natural and authentic aging, even if that means being damaged along the way, is okay, but trying to reverse it, removing ink, restoring corners, adding color, trimming to fix edges, is just not okay. And I think that's why, because, you know, you look at what even human beings, we age naturally, and some people would say gracefully, but then we have a lot of people who they go to the surgeon to have it reversed or slowed down, and oftentimes it just doesn't look as very good anyway. Okay, going off topic there.
Well, you know, I mean, like what you're talking about is like a barn find on a car, right? If somebody said, "Oh, I found this, you know, 1968 Corvette with 200 miles on it, but it's not moved," right? If somebody was that anxious to restore it and bring it back and put all new parts and all that kind of stuff, that would offend some collectors, right? Some people would be like, that car is worth more with 800 miles, you know, cleaned up, not completely restored from the ground up. It's because it has value as it sits. You know, it's not the same thing as a brand new resto mod or something like that.
Okay, grading. How important is grading? But I'm not just going to leave it open-ended. Like, did grading in coins legitimize them as like assets the same way that grading cards legitimizes cards as assets? And I'm using that term very deliberately, but not only grading legitimizes cards as assets in a lot of people's eyes, but a lot of that is simply because it allowed for more confident trading and purchasing of cards, sight unseen, remotely, third parties, that kind of thing, because you know, and adding a standard to it. So
yes,
in the world of cards, grading really facilitated where the market is today.
That's right.
Did the same thing happen in coins?
I would say that it solidifies its collectability insofar as there is a standardized order, that there is a grading scale, there is repeatable grades, that people can have confidence in. Much of ancient coin collecting before grading is loose coins, which they still sell, and a lot of that I do not advise for new collectors. Don't start with loose coins. We always recommend graded coins, because then you have some confidence that it's real and that it's been graded to a point where you could resell it if you'd like to. So that, but to me, the real thing that, you know, that adapts from that is having kind of an organization around the entire collectible. Do you have confidence in the grading system? Yes. Do you have confidence at this grade that this is worth this much? Yes. And so I think it does. I think it does exactly like you said. It legitimizes the collectability. It does place a value on the asset and make it worthwhile. And so, yeah, it's been an interesting experience with I personally collect without the slabs, but that's because I've been in it long enough to know I like holding them personally. But as you develop, that may be something you're interested in. But
so,
you know,
I mean,
starting out,
yeah, you advise newbies to buy graded, and I think that's sort of just to protect yourself, because you're you're amateur, you don't really know. But so let me ask this then: do a lot of new entrants into the coin collecting hobby start with graded and then as they gain experience?
Yes.
Do you know, are they moving away from it and like selling their slabs to buy ungraded maybe? And is the same coin cheaper outside of a slab than it is inside of a slab?
So a couple of different points about that, but those are good questions. Absolutely. So there are, like in baseball cards, there are some people that chase slab grades, right? And so people will, I want the highest grade you can possibly get of Julius Caesar, and I want the top 5% of all of those. So there's a star grade associated with that. So people will pay a premium, probably almost too high a premium to have, what is considered one of the nicest ones on the planet by the grade. And so sometimes people will go too far in chasing the grade. We care about the coins themselves, not necessarily the grade, because we want you to enjoy the history behind the coin. The grade is kind of a supplement or an additional to it. But I definitely think that you can make it. When you get developed, you may find that you have an appreciation for the coin being in your hand. You may find that you like having rows of slabs in a box. It just kind of depends on what kind of collector you are.
Absolutely.
What's important to you, I mean, that's what it is. But, the reason that I feel like these have a lot in common is because the slabs are just the same. They fit in the same kind of boxes. They represent the same thing. And it makes it easily collectible. I mean, all the information is on the coin or on the slab. You do not have to reference or pull things out of your memory trying to remember what this is and all that kind of stuff.
Are there population reports like there are with PSA and Beckett in sports cards?
There is, and we had a discussion about this, and I did a little bit more research on it. So NGC provides a census for all of their coin types except ancient coins, but they do publish it or share it with heritage auctions. So you can find their kind of grading census through heritage auctions. That's kind of an agreement that they have. But there are available, you can find the number of coins that have been graded in, MS star, all that kind of stuff, depending on the coin that you're looking for. It's not a published thing from NGC specifically. They have a deal worked out with heritage.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In sports cards, when it comes to grading, there's a whole culture around like cracking and resubbing, trying to get a different grade. You're smiling as if it happens in coins too. Do people look at do people search for undergraded coins to crack out themselves and send back in to take another shot at a higher grade because it's profitable?
Okay, so we do have in American coins or in world coins, they do have, there's fierce competitive kind of behavior behind that, where you can get a grade from PCGS or NGC, and then you can get a secondary sticker, an approval of that grade from another source.
We have that in cards too. Yeah.
So there are a lot. Ancient coins really only have one grading service at this time, but there's about to be a second one. And when there is the second one, I feel like we'll start to go into, well, NGC didn't give me a good enough grade. Let me try through the other vendor. And I think there will be some of that for sure.
What about like PSA, who's, the monster in sports cards? They own PCGS, I believe.
Yes.
I think PCGS like preceded PSA. I think PSA
right.
That the owner created the card grading after the coin grading. So much of the sports card hobby is rooted in coins.
That's right.
Yeah. So where does that grading company fall versus NGC, which you've been talking about a lot?
So PCGS does American World, and I believe they are on the verge of going into Ancients, from what I understand. So you'll have a secondary service. I actually know one of the founders of PCGS, a group of 6 guys that sat in a hotel room and came up with a grading service or a grading ranking for American coins and all that kind of stuff. Just a really neat story. And then obviously the secondary grading, the baseball cards and all that kind of stuff, or comic books, came afterwards. But a really neat story of how they began. But it began with American coins and world coins.
All right, I got a lot to get through still, Dean, and we got 26 minutes left. So restoration, alteration, and cleaning, a very sensitive topic in the world of sports cards. In cards, you can trim a card, press a card, you can press out wrinkles, creases, you can recolor. In coins, you cleaning, dipping, tooling, artificial toning, surface smoothing, and conservation services. How, like in sports cards, it's just bad to alter a card. Some people don't want cards restored, and to me, cleaning is the one thing that I'm like, I'm okay with a card being cleaned. I'm okay with a card that has been cleaned being in my collection. But but cleaned has a narrow definition for me. Like I'm talking about fingerprints, fine. Rub those off with a microfiber. That card's still welcome in my collection. You know,
That's right.
any sort of foreign like crumbs or something like that can easily anything that can come off with a microfiber, I'm okay with. But cleaning, if that means dipping it in a solution to get rid of, toning, like, I don't want my cards soaked. I don't want my cards bleached to have the border colors restored. So how are we similar? How are we different coins to cards when it comes to restoration, alteration, and cleaning?
I will throw a crazy wrench in what you just talked about. So a lot of ancient coins come out of the ground, right? A lot of them come uncleaned. So they'll be kind of covered in a layer of crud or whatever. There is a whole group of people that specifically clean these coins. And so they take a level of, the layer of the ground off of the coins and kind of bring them back to a status. So there is some level of that just naturally occurs. That's not something I would do. That's not something that I know very many people that I would consider to do that. That's a specific skill. Now it's something, because so many ancient coins are very affordable, that you could probably experiment with and not really hurt something of value if you did it with the right coins. And there are video lessons and all kinds of stuff that you can figure out. It's like a secondary interest in the hobby of taking, you might buy a giant bag of bronze coins for $50, right? And they don't know what's in it, and you don't know what's in it until you clean it. And maybe there's something that's interesting in there. So that's a secondary set. So there's some of that actually has to happen in order for the coins to be sold. After that, though, no. It's strictly not considered a way to treat the coins, right? A lot of people think that you can use modern chemicals and things like that, and I tell you what, it's a fast way to ruin something very important and beautiful. And that's why I wouldn't do it myself, and because I don't trust myself enough to do all that kind of fancy work.
The coins come out of the ground. Sometimes they might be covered in even like a cement type of like something solid, right? That you have to chip away.
Yeah.
Once that process is complete and those coins are like the first instance of cleaning after being excavated type of thing, they are now cleaned, and then after that, it's like, the norm is like it's forbidden to do any further cleaning from there. Now, how sophisticated are like the detection methods to detect? Like, is this a problem? Is this in sports cards? It's almost an epidemic. Is it a problem in coins where people are trying to improve the value by improving the look, because they're maybe the original cleaner, that first instance of acceptable cleaning, missed something or could have done something that might have actually impacted the coin itself, not just the crud stuck to it. And then these people come along and they do that. How sophisticated are the detection methods of that?
Well, so I would say that in terms of the grading service that looks at that, they would know. I mean, it's very hard to hide. I mean, you're working on a hard surface where you're trying to, scrape off, with tools that may not be the right ones because you don't know what you're doing. It's pretty evident. And the guys that grade at NGC and the like have 30, 40 years experience. They know what to look for in poor handling of coins. And so it's very evident. And then, of course, as buyers, right, even if it's not slab, you're able to see if something's over cleaned. A lot of these coins, my favorite one is if you go to the Boston Museum, they have a huge collection of ancient coins in there. And it's like they were all used, what was that, like detarnishing stuff that you used to dip coins in that would just or that you would dip silver in and it would turn them clean or whatever. That people, it looks like they use that, just so hard, overdone. So these coins all look totally unnatural because they've been over cleaned, even though they're in the museum. And it's very obvious when something's done overdone or poorly done that detracts away from the value. You get used to a certain look on coins that you should expect, and if it's different than that, it's pretty obvious.
Like I feel that way with cards. I used to have a 1953 Parker Jean Beliveau rookie and a PSA 7 holder that looked like those edges were bleached to me, and like they were too clean. Not that they were, but it looked like they could have been. They could have been. I don't know. I mean, I bought it secondhand anyway, but I looked at it next to my PSA 5 slab copy, and I liked that one better. It looked more natural. I don't want it to look too clean or unnatural. My vintage sports cards, some of them look too good. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them or anything wrong was done to them. I'm not saying that it wasn't either, but I don't like that unnatural look. But if people are doing it, some people must like that unnatural look, or some people just want the item in a slab that has a high grade, and they don't even once it's in the high grade slab, they don't even care if the card is natural or not. They just want the high grade because it's a good flex, it's impressive to others, sort of thing. So
totally in common.
How consistent, in sports cards, I think the grading companies, the PSAs, BGSs, SGC, CGC, I think they do as good of a job as they can under the constraints they are under to grade consistently. I think the consistency has decreased in recent years just with grading growing so much. And in sports cards, we've got offices all over the place. I think they've lost control. Not all control. I think they've lost some of the control that they had when everything was under one roof.
Right.
How consistent does the coin community feel that the coin graders are?
I would say specifically at NGC, I would say mostly consistent. There are opportunities for misses, and sometimes you'll look at something and be like, well, just like everybody, they look at the grade and they're like, no, it's better than that. I turn this thing in and it gets a better grade. But oftentimes I would say that they are dead on. I mean, like I mentioned, they have a lot of experience there. One of the graders is really one of the early and foremost dealers that had been around. Just fantastic, scholarship and understanding of the coins. So they do a very consistent job. However, with volume increasing, similar to what you just mentioned, sometimes that gets hard, and so they have to hire more graders and have to try to get through a backlog. And sometimes it can be a little off. But I would say generally, you would expect a grade to be consistent across any type of the coins that they grade.
How much time, like in sports cards, the speculation, and some of it is somewhat verified, is that they might spend 30 to 60 seconds on a card to grade it. How much time do they spend on a coin to grade a card, to grade a coin?
So I think if we did the math, I think it was less than 3 minutes, based on a backlog estimate or something like that. But that doesn't mean, if you're taking a bronze of Constantine the Great era, where it's a $30 coin they're putting in a slab or whatever, it does not warrant the same level of attention as some of the higher end stuff. But yeah, I would say that it's in that kind of time frame. I would say a little bit longer than what you quoted for sports cards, but I would say
that's an eternity compared to what we speculated. Sports card, 30 seconds to 3 minutes. That's not even in the same planetary system there as far as time goes. So I think you guys are getting more for your money than we are in sports cards.
That's right.
Someone left a comment. It was a good one. It's funny because it was in my notes anyway. I'm not finding it right now, but basically, is there a sort of a mantra in coin collecting, like in card collecting, we say buy the card, not the grade. Do you guys ever say buy the coin, not the grade?
Yes, that's kind of what I live by, right? Because the eye appeal is personal, and it's what speaks to you. Now, you can buy slabs like you talked about just for the grade, have a grade, but a lot of times you'll get a bunch of different coins at different grades that are not, visually appealing. Buy the coin that's the most appealing to you. We also say buy the most expensive coin that you can afford, right? So buy the best version of the coin that you can buy, because you'll regret it if you buy something worse, and you'll end up spending probably twice as much.
So Dean, that is something that people have been saying about collecting anything for eternity, right? They say it about cards too. I'm not. My issue with that comment is that if I buy the best I can afford, then I got no money left over for any other cards. So what do I get to own one? I get to own one card. So I hear what you're saying. I think the way I would like, you know, sort of advise people, or if they wanted to listen to me, would be like, figure out how many cards you want to buy. You know, if you want to own, if you have $100 and you want to own 20 cards, you can spend $5 per card, or however you're going to allocate it.
Right.
But if you spend all 100 on one card, you're done. You can't you can't collect any other cards after that.
I think the core is be patient, right? You might not find you might be able to buy something that you kind of like at that point, or if you hold on a little bit longer, you might find something better that's nicer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm not patient at all.
Absolutely. You know, it's I wanted to talk a bit more about like eye appeal versus technical grade. Now, I talk about this a lot, and my co-panelists, we talk about this a lot, and not only us, other talking heads in the sports card hobby. Eye appeal is a big topic for the past several months now, and it seems to only be gaining steam right now. And we've already touched on it here, but it really, to me, for the purpose of this discussion, only applies to graded coins and cards, because if it's not graded, there's no technical grade to compare the eye appeal to. So in cards right now, there's a movement going on where a lot of collectors are saying, I don't care what the slab says the grade is. I want to find a card that is pleasing to my eye. It's somewhat, it's not new in sports cards, because a lot of people say, I've been collecting like that forever. Great. But the majority, I feel, from my lens, is that a lot of card collectors, and myself included until I had the epiphany and woke up and put down the glass of Kool-Aid, was that if the grade was a 9, the card was mint. 9 is mint. If it was a 10, it was gem mint. You know, and that kind of appropriately described the condition of the card and how it would look. But that's just not the case, because there are low grade cards that look beautiful.
Yep.
Is there any sort of movement away from the grade being the end all be all in coins towards eye appeal being as important, if not more important? Or is the grade the end all be all when it comes to graded ancients?
So with ancient coins, they do have 2 designations that are specific to ones with really good eye appeal, right? And so the graders look at 100 Alexander the Greats a day, right? And so they see various different dies, various different images of him, but they will pick out ones that they call fine style. And that's because it is a finer style than the traditional. And so the coin itself, the image is more eye appealing than the coin itself. And I do believe that people will buy fine style coins in a lower grade because the image is better than a higher grade without that designation. The pinnacle of the grading system within NGC is they have a star designation. And that's for like the top 5% of the nicest coins in eye appeal that they have. So they'll assign that to X amount of coins that they hand off, and they'll have stars for each one of the grades, and there'll be a percentage. And so a star, is not only, it's the highest you can get for that grade, but also the eye appeal, the visual appeal of that coin is higher based on what those graders see, which is generally accurate. That makes it more valuable because it is specifically beautiful to that coin.
So, okay, so cards, you have a 10-point scale basically, and that's it. There's no other designation by the grading company except for the negative qualifiers that PSA will have on some for certain problems with the card. To get an eye appeal star, to talk coin language, you need to go to a third party. You need to go to somebody, and you need to go to an MBA type of service to get that additional that second opinion on the eye appeal of the card. Not instead of the technical grade, but more relative to the technical grade. You can get these eye appeal awards or stickers, we call them. So in coins, it sounds like the grading companies have that in-house already, which tells me that and a lot of people speculate that card companies card grading companies will, and PSA in particular, will eventually add its own eye appeal designation to the grade or to the label itself. So
Yeah,
that's
right.
That's interesting, and that's an insight that might looking at the coin hobby, which is where card grading started. Maybe it'll follow that direction. That's something I think we might want to consider that in the card world. That as much as we're going to MBA or Fanatics Collect Eye Appeal Inc. or Four Sharp Corners Elite stickers, PSA could very well start adding their own eye appeal designation.
They should. You know, I mean, they what's it called? There are certain cards that, you know, speak to you a lot more, like a 61 Topps Ron Santo card. You know, beautiful blue background, and if the color is just right, to me, that's a special card. And you know, if it's dull or something like that, it takes away from the card. But if you get the right color, the right pronounced color on that card, it's beautiful.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, next sort of topic here: time horizon difference, and this is more of an observation than anything, really, I would think. But you know, cards are really in the last 140 years. Coins are, you can buy coins that are 2,000 years old. And you know, for me, it's super cool to hold a card in my hand from the 50s. Never mind the 40s, 30s, 20s. Like the 30s is awesome. The 1910s is killer. Like, how awesome is that? I have one card from the 1800s. Holding it is magical. I mean, what does it feel like to hold? And listen, I'm sure I've held some ancient coins in my day. Not that I remember exactly, but to collect these items that are 2,000 plus years old, like something that is from ancient civilization. When you think about you as a coin collector, how, like, does it make, when you hold a baseball card from the 50s, does that just feel like, I don't, like nothing compared to holding a coin that's 2,000 years old?
So I feel like any antique feels new compared to an ancient coin, and I think that's one of the reasons that my dad had such a fondness for these things. Is, you know, he had a collection of shekels of Tyre, right? That is the temple tax during the time of Christ, and he preferred his coins, not his cards, his coins, to be a little bit more worn, because it was exciting for him to try to think about who held that coin in that time, right? There are coins that were minted, you know, in ancient times, that are commemorative, that are medallions that are issued by emperors. So there are coins that you can get that are likely have been held by an emperor from 300
That's
AD
amazing.
or something like that, because they're specialty items. It's just remarkable to think about how many hands it changed hand, what was bought, you know, with the silver, what was built because of this.
Who was killed to steal these things, right? Okay, I'm going to move on, Dean. I'm going to move on because we are short on time, and I still got stuff I want to cover. So I'm going to start interrupting you more than I already am. Just as a heads up to you. Sorry for my upcoming rudeness. Sports cards often considered investments to a lot of people who collect them. Are coins considered investments or more collectible?
So and I'll answer this fast. There's a difference. There is a commodities collection where you stack silver and gold. You buy it low, you sell it high. They're generally these discs, you know, that have images on them that you don't really care about that. You're buying for investment. Ancient coins are more about the history, right? So I will tell you that the ancient coin market is still developing. It's very early in the United States because a lot of people like yourself or in Canada don't know about these. And so the demand is still pretty low. Since I started collecting maybe 10 years ago, the value of my coins has gone up because there's more demand, there's more interest. And so I think of it as you're investing in something that is timeless, that is intrinsically holding value, right? It's silver, it's bronze, it's gold. And it ties to a point in history that people know about and that people are aware of. So there is value in those things. I would say that I don't look at it as an investment. I look at it as an investment in myself, teaching myself about history, learning about things that I didn't know, feeling more secure about things that are happening now as opposed to what happened then, because you have some frame of reference. There's a lot of value in knowing about history, and this to me is the best way to connect to it.
Thank you. In cards, we talk about rarity. We talk about organic, natural rarity. We talk about manufactured rarity. So when I think about coins, I think we talk about these coins dug out of the ground. We haven't even talked about like treasure, like, you know, like pirate treasure found at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, I know a lot of people.
That's a whole other part of the coin hobby, I would have to think. But, you know, again, in cards, we have manufactured rarity versus like organic rarity, because, you know, you have cards numbered to 10. You probably one of ones numbered to 100. There's a million cards numbered to 1 nowadays. So anyway, that's a whole other thing. But in coins, how do you look at rarity and scarcity? And I mean, I can go to the post office here in Canada, and the Canadian Mint sells their coins through the Canada Post distribution network, and I can buy all these jeweled up coins, and I'm sure they're numbered, they're limited editions. They don't feel to me, and this is weird because I love manufactured rarity in sports cards, but in the coin world, I think I'd way rather gravitate towards the ancient coins that were dug up out of the ground. I would find that to be much cooler. But hey, people love these. They wouldn't make them and sell them if they didn't. So how do you, as an ancient coin guy, look at, and speaking on behalf of the coin community, how do you guys look at manufactured rarity versus organic rarity?
Well, so I would say that organic rarity is fairly familiar with a lot of these coins. A lot of these coins are tracked by certain websites, how many they know that are in existence. So there is some basis in how many they know have been dug up over time. I would say that there are coins that are plentiful, and it's very well understood. The Romans did keep records, not unlike we do now. Certainly, they didn't do exact counts of what was minted at the time, but understanding that, you know, in certain cases like Julius Caesar, who was paying an army to, you know, defeat his enemies, he had to mint a lot of coins to pay those soldiers. And so there's a lot. And a lot of times the number of dies are identified, or known dies. And then you have some sort of a number that a die will manufacture. And so you can kind of put together estimates. There are certain coins that were used in like bribes that were minted specifically for a certain occasion, where, you know, there was only a handful minted. And so those are scarce or super rare, that those are known in the community as very, very rare. I would say that there's really not, the manufactured rarity is a modern thing. I think we know that what coins are rare and scarce. We know that, you know, certain bronzes, there's millions of or whatever. But, you know, a certain Julius Caesar coin, we have an idea how many that we have seen in public. And a lot of times the pricing base is on that. So it is well known in a lot of cases what's rare, but also because these are still kind of being pulled out of the ground a little bit. You might find something that you thought was really rare, but they might find a handful more, you know. So that's what's interesting about it.
So even back then, they were printing money to just, you know, to accomplish things just like they do today, just like especially during the pandemic. Okay. Last talk, I mean, I have a few more, but market manipulation, a big problem in sports cards.
Interesting. Okay.
Are in the world of coins, are there things like hype cycles? Are there pump and dump dynamics going on where, you know, a new emperor might become sort of en vogue and people are like, oh, we gotta, you know, this guy did this. Maybe, you know, are there influencers in the world of coin collecting on various social media platforms talking about coins? Like, you know, it's different because these guys aren't, you know, they're not winning the playoffs this year. They're not winning games. They're not scoring goals, throwing touchdowns. But this is going on in sports cards. Market manipulation in many ways. Is that a problem in coins?
I would say that unlike your playoffs, we have movies. So like Gladiator, right? Think about the excitement in 2000 after Gladiator. And there are coins of Marcus Aurelius, and there's coins of Commodus, and there's coins of after Gladiator 2, there's coins of Geta, there's coins of the twins, and all these people, that Lucilla, that are part of that. And so sometimes they will jack up prices on things that are relatively interesting in civilization at that point. But I don't think we don't really have. I would say that I'm an influencer. Like there isn't really that kind of person that's really trying to push a certain material on people. But when there are big certain events and stuff like that and movies that represent these people, then yeah, they will try to, you know, kind of increase the price to try and drive interest or to take advantage of the interest at the time.
Are coin collectors sharing on Instagram or other social media their new pickups and are people like, it's like there is an online community of sharing what we're getting, and talk a bit about the community, the coin show cult. Like I just came off of an amazing show in Toronto last weekend. Strongsville, a big show for vintage collectors, was a few weeks ago. They're still talking about it, which is, you know, all good. What is the community like amongst coin collectors and the demographics of it? I think a lot of people think that it's a dying hobby. Is it? Right. Is it going the way of stamps?
That's a good question. So yes, I would say that we do have an age problem. We do have a problem where a lot of the collectors tend to have more gray hair than I do. But we're trying to influence new people coming in. And that's why, you know, I'm very aggressive about trying to introduce this to people, because I think that we need youth. We need people to be interested in this kind of stuff because it's valuable and it's worthwhile. I would say that the show culture is improving vastly. I think we talked about, I just went to Central States, which is in Schaumburg, outside of Chicago. Huge turnout to where people were selling out of coins pretty routinely. Common coins were becoming scarce inside the show. I went to a show in Orlando called Fun, which is the Florida International show. And we had 15,000 people show up on the first day, a Thursday, to come in to a coin show. Now, I think earlier you asked me, what do baseball or what do coin guys think about baseball cards? Well, we're a little bit jealous of the excitement, and we're trying to build that kind of excitement. I see, you know, the TikToks of people being at card shows and just kind of going crazy over the card show. So we want that kind of atmosphere. We want that kind of excitement. And so we're starting to build it, but the more the merrier is what we want. We want more. The online community is fantastic. There's a ton of Facebook groups filled with scholarship, people that you wouldn't even expect, oncologists, historians, all kinds of people come together to talk about these ancient coins and their history. And very welcoming to, especially to new people, because they want to make sure that you enjoy the hobby and stick around. There's lots of opportunities to make mistakes. They're there. They supported me when I first joined the hobby, and they're there to support you. And we have links to recommendations for that on my website where you can join those, all that kind of stuff. Because I feel like you cannot be a good collector unless you're at least checked into the community to understand what the marketplace has and what kind of mistakes and lessons you can learn. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's nice to hear that there's someone out there that's sort of jealous, another collecting community sort of jealous of the card community. I'm going to speak to my guys in the back room right now, David, Chris, and Joe, who I don't see. I see you guys, but I just want to, if any of you guys have any questions for Dean, just put up your hand. Otherwise, we're gonna switch it up. But if either of you guys want to ask Dean a question, just let me know right now by just putting up your hand, and I will let you do that. And if you're good, then we're going to be good. So, okay, Dean, there's a lot of questions and comments that have come through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through them. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 more minutes. So David, Chris, Joe, just give me 5 more minutes here with Dean. And I'm going to run through some of these comments, but we're not going to address all of them, Dean. But I also want to give you a chance. Where can people find you who might want to follow up with you on any of this?
Okay, so my website is www.kinzercoins.com, KINZER coins.com. It's set up specifically for new collectors to come in and understand the hobby a little bit. There's references to grading, there's references to popular collectible items, there's checklists, all kinds of stuff. My shop is basically kind of entry-level coins, so there's a lot of affordable, coins that are important, widow's mites, coins of Constantine, all that kind of stuff. starting at like $35 in a graded slab, and then on the way up. But very entry level friendly to make you excited about the hobby, because we believe once you collect one, you'll want more, and that's what we want. We want you to be a part of the hobby.
That can be a problem for many of us because we love collecting. So I'm just going to read through these comments. Unfortunately, we're not going to address many, if any of them. So, but I just want to let you know, Dean, what we have. So Chris here said, can't coins be cleaned unlike sports cards without being frowned upon? We touched on that. Are the silver strike coins from casino slots part of the coin collecting world? Yes or no? Yes or no, Dean?
No.
Thank you. Anthony says, up next, graded tickets. We are going to have a ticket guy on the show, and we're going to draw similar parallels. Called Shot said, Mr. Mint, Alan Rosen, was originally a coin dealer. Rock Latex said, Burbank coin. You know Mr. Mint?
I know Mr. Mint. He was a friend of my dad's way back in the 80s when he dealt.
Great. Rock Latex says, Burbank coin and sports cards. I was there in 1987. Larry Gitlin. I have bought some ancient Greek and Roman coins just to own such an old antiquity.
Amen.
The professor says, my strategy has been to buy modern coins directly from the mints, U.S., Canadian Mint, and the Perth in Australia. Slim Thumbtack said, I collect coins from years that mean something to me, i.e. 1920, when my grandpa came to the U.S. The professor says, my local coin shop mentioned that the coin community is moving to grading by professional coin grading services owned by Collectors Universe. They're moving there from NGC. Is that that's tracking with you? Vintage Card Collector says, how does the coin community attract new and young collectors? We just got there.
Aggressively.
We talked about that. Bob Boozle wants to know, do coin shops have dollar boxes? Are there value bins? Yes, there are.
Yes. Yep. Cheap bronzes. Yep. You can buy. I always carry them with me.
Chris C says every kind of currency, unfortunately, is bathed in some kind of blood. That's interesting.
True.
Bob Boozle says Jeremy Lee researching for his future book, Coins and Comps. Yeah. And Yankees fan, really good questions, Jeremy. Another great, interesting collecting topic. Thank you for that, Yankees fan. I appreciate that comment. Okay, guys. Bob Boozle is sorry, card guys. I'm quitting so I can collect coins. I will miss you all. Sorry, Boozle. Let's get back to cards so we can keep you here. Perry Custom Cards. So yeah, Dean, go into my chat here, put your website in there for Perry and anyone else who wants to know where to find you. There's Mr. Minty, who says my favorite coins were on the bottom of Slurpee cups. I remember those.
I had those.
Because there is crossover. I showed you this the other day. This is a currency relic card that I have that came out of
That's
Upper Deck
right.
Goodwin. And there's a coin in there from 1923, a Mercury dime. This is like a crossover type of item. So really cool. All right, Dean. You put it in the private chat. I'm going to copy this. It's okay.
Yeah, please.
I'm going to put it in the main chat now for everybody to see. And guys, check it out if you're interested. Dean, I know this was fast. I rushed you. There was too much to talk about, but thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it. Guys, give a big hand to Dean. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
Oh, wait. There's Joe. Joe, give him a hand.
Yeah.
Dean, hang on, Dean. I'm going to introduce you to the rest of the guys here. There's Joe. Let's bring on David. There's Chris. And
hello.
Josh is right there. Guys, say hi to Dean.
Hi, Dean.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you
Dean.
so much
Hey,
for
how are
taking the
you?
chance. Listen to me talk about ancient history. I really appreciate it.
You're an old
bet.
G, and anyone that rubbed shoulders with Al Rosen, Mr. Mint.
That's right.
That's
Very cool.
I have some very interesting autograph stories that I could tell you about, like Leo DeRocher and Willie Mays. I got all kinds of interesting stuff that I got. But anyway, that's for another time. I really appreciate you guys giving me a chance to talk a little bit about it, because I believe in this wholeheartedly, and I think it's something that if you got into, you would really love it.
All right. Well, thank you, Dean. We're not looking to shrink the card hobby by shipping people off the coins.
Sorry. Sorry.
But no, it's okay. Listen, I hear you, and we are, a lot of us are collectors, and maybe somebody wants to go explore it more. And
Absolutely.
as I told you before, I collected coins as a kid, and so it's been in there a little bit. There's Joe showing a precious metal.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I meant to highlight you, not take you off, Joe. Sorry.
Sorry, it's
All right, Dean. Unless anyone has anything you want to mention, we're going to say thank you for coming on, Dean, and all the best to the coin community.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. All right. Thank you to Dean for joining. Guys, here we are, the final segment, the third hour. Thank you for your patience. I know we're about 7 minutes late, or now 10, but if you were watching, you saw there was so much I wanted to get through, and I was really trying to get through it because I didn't want to leave you guys waiting. But Chris, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well, and congratulations on the rebirth of the crossover last night. It was nice to see an episode all of a sudden. Is that something we're going to see more of?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're back. I think we took a season off after 5 or 6 years. I guess after 6 years, you can take a few months off.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I could, but
not you. No. Your show actually matters, Jeremy. Our show is just Seinfeld. It's the show about nothing. So I think we can come back and actually people will be glad that we went away for a while.
You guys, you're saying that the crossover is the Seinfeld of hobby content. Joe Perot, buddy, look at you, got that bright future down there in Santa Cruz. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, thanks. And I mean, if the crossover is coming back, I'm going to have to rethink my Friday nights. I mean, you get into certain patterns, and then you get disrupted, and then things reemerge. But I'm good, Jay Lee. And hi to all the cats and jammers out there on this Saturday night. Hope everybody in the hobby is doing well. Let's go.
Jeremy, can I jump in for a second? I think each one of us should have to identify as a cat or a jammer, and I'm taking cat.
I mean, I don't know what a jammer is, Chris. So I guess I don't identify. Josh, how are you, buddy? Welcome to the show.
I am
nice to see you.
Long time no see, Jeremy. David, Christopher, Joe. It's lovely to see you. Jeremy,
cat or jammer? You have to answer the question.
I'm gonna say jammer. I don't know what it is, but I'm not a cat guy. So.
I'm gonna go jammer too. I'll go jammer too because I don't know what it is, and it sounds a little bit more a little risque, So
it is the third hour. Anything goes.
Well,
absolutely.
I think cats are cool, and jammers kind of like get a little more fired up. So I don't know.
Listen, I don't know what we're in for with Joe tonight, but this is going to be exciting.
I love this, Joe. And
David, welcome back.
Thank you.
Josh, you were about to say something, I think.
I had a great time last week at the expo. It was fantastic. Can't wait to come back in November.
Yeah, can't wait to come back with you. We'll do it again. We will run that one back yet again. Did any of you guys take in that last segment with Dean on coins? I mean, I really wanted to make that about what can we learn about cards, if anything, or how do other collecting communities look at what they collect? Did anything stick out to any of you guys as interesting or an aha moment or anything kind of come to mind? Joe, you're nodding. What did you think?
Just real quick. I mean, I didn't see all of it, but just kind of the marriage of coins and cards early on. How a lot of shops, double dipped and kind of emerged out of that. Apropos of the Burbank story. So just thinking about how collectibles have kind of existed and maybe not overlap, but like some degree of connection.
I found it really interesting that it really does seem more and more that at least to me that the card hobby and collectability really did in many ways evolve out of coins. I don't know. But what the insight maybe that stuck with me the most was that in coin collecting, the grading companies have their technical grade and then they have the eye appeal grade that they will throw on there sometimes. And that makes me think more and more then that why wouldn't PSA or another grading company say, okay, we got all these other guys putting their stickers on our slabs. Why don't we do it ourselves and take that business away? Maybe it's an upcharge for the eye appeal. Because we love upcharges in the hobby. We love upcharges. So why not one more? Not an upcharge, but a kind of a menu of services. Like, would you like the eye appeal assessment on it? And it's kind of like, when people go for an authentic grade, it's like you don't want to hear that your card is a low grade. So just give me authentic. Well, you're not going to ask for an eye appeal assessment on a card that isn't going to get it, but maybe you will on one that doesn't. But the problem there then is that maybe there's now a record of what's been submitted and what hasn't been, what cards haven't got. And that's a problem for people who want to capitalize. But now I'm just rambling. How about you, David and Chris and Josh? Did anything stick out to you guys from that conversation that we just had?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that it's pretty amazing when you start thinking of how we think our cards are so old. Some of our vintage cards, right? From wow, this one was from the turn of the century, right? Like 1900. That's nothing, right? Those are modern coins compared to what we're looking at here. It's pretty amazing how old and historic those collectibles are. It's just really amazing.
Or when we talk about, some youngsters in the hobby are now referring to cards from like the early 2000s as vintage,
Totally.
It's vintage that way. Let me ask you guys this. Put up your hand, show of hands. Have any of you guys ever been a coin collector? Have you ever collected coins in your history? I see Josh's hand go up. Joe is sort of maybe a little bit, maybe he dabbled. Nothing from David or Chris. Now let me ask you this. After that conversation, do any of you guys have any new or renewed interest in looking into it? Maybe not with the any interest at all in coins after hearing any of that conversation. Anyone want to put up their hand? Joe.
Well, I mean, the Leighton Sheldon conversation got me interested in 64 coins, for whatever that's worth.
But nobody here has any interest in exploring ancient coins of emperors and that kind of stuff as a way. Because if we collect sports cards because of history, it's really sports history. We are not so interested in monetary history, even though a lot of the hobby looks at cards as financial instruments, as money itself. Coins, cards, you hear people saying, well, if I need to go pay for this or a new roof on my house, I can go sell a card. That card becomes basically money in that way. But none of us are interested in the history of emperors and ancient Greek coins or anything like that. David?
The answer is no to me. But the reason why is because I connect a lot more with sports or pop culture, right? Like things like that more than history for being history, which my dad is a history buff, right? He loves history. He was a coin collector before he was a baseball card, like as a young child. And like, that's why for me, even like some of these non-sports cards that are like presidents and stuff, which I think are very cool and pretty cards, they don't really resonate with me either. But an old an old Edison card, it seems a little bit cooler to me for some reason, or an old, or pop, anything that has to do with pop culture or music or things like that, that resonates for me more than history for history.
Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I love the history point. I was on the same wavelength as David and the same wavelength as you, Jeremy, but here's where I take it, all right? So I obviously don't know much at all about coin collecting, but I really liked the point about that you sort of drew this distinction between sports are focused on a pretty recent history, a few hundred years at most, especially sort of the way that we collect sports here in North America and the formation of the professionalism of sports. And then you have coins, which dates back thousands, hundreds and thousands of years. But here's the thing. Sports cards, and this is a difference that sports cards have not just with coins, but this is a difference that sports cards have with entertainment cards. This is a difference that sports cards have as contrasted against NFTs, as contrasted against art. Sports cards, the history of sports, insofar as it impacts the collectability of cards, happens on such a faster scale. So because we have the ongoing seasons in every sport, the GOAT debate gets renewed every year. And really, it's renewed more than once a year. It's constantly ongoing. If Steph Curry gets one more championship this year, does he finally pass Kobe? Or if Jokic gets knocked out in the first round, does he now have to fall back into that Hakeem Giannis group, Hakeem, Giannis, and Durant, rather than being on the precipice of joining the Magic and Larry Bird group? We have these conversations ongoing all the time. And because we have active professional seasons, not only does it impact the legacy of the active players, but it makes us constantly think about the legacy of the retired guys too. And that dynamism is organic. It's real. It's tracking the history of a sport whose legacy is being forged with every single season. And it's not just content about the active players. It's content about all the greats whose shadow is cast over every single season that gets played. That level of energy, that level of constant flux of history constantly being written is a stark contrast against other categories where history is written and meaning is etched into history books over hundreds or thousands of years. That's something that's very special. The timeline during which sports cards and the players featured on them create meaning, it happens so much faster.
You're right. There's always renewed interest. There's headlines. There's every single day of the year. Just about you have new sports information coming out. What you said, one thing where I sort of paused was when you kind of mentioned, well, you clarified with the GOAT debate, but like Mickey the Mount Rushmore GOATs. Well, that would include some guys of the modern era, but the guys like Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Hank Aaron, the Mikens, the Wilts, the Bobby Orrs, all the guys that played from the beginning of professional sports up until, say, the 60s. I mean, their legacies aren't changing at all, just like the emperor's legacies aren't changing from hundreds and thousands of years earlier. So, but because these things continue and they are brought into the discussion, the top 40 or the top 100 hockey players of all time, the top 100 basketball players of all time is a changing list. And the older somebody gets and remains on that list, that's a big deal, right? Because you've got more youngsters coming on, breaking into it. Who's getting knocked off that list? Is it someone from the last 20 years or someone from the first 20 years? And that can have the interest in these older guys being enduring.
Oh, Chris. Of course. LeBron and the incredible legacy that he's forged has also had a tremendous spillover effect onto reverence for Michael Jordan, because Jordan is the measuring stick. Connor McDavid is the best thing to happen to the legacy of Wayne Gretzky. Shohei Ohtani is the best thing to happen to the legacy of Babe Ruth. These new guys echo the greatness of those who came before them, and it creates comparisons, and it keeps those people relevant and fresh, and it keeps the debate fresh, and every era has their GOATs and so on and so forth. But that's always been something that's been very special about the market for sports cards, is that the timeline on which it happens, the way history is written, the way legacies are constantly talked about, we have this endless content cycle that's constantly feeding into our appetite to consume sports, both on a pop culture, on a mainstream level, and also on a historical perspective too. It's something very special that other collectible categories just don't quite seem to have.
Yeah, especially the ancient one. Coins and stamps are two of the big ones. I think that fit into what you're talking about there. All right, guys. Well, thank you for that continued discussion, and I thought that was interesting and different for the audience. So I know some of you guys would have really, listeners, viewers, really appreciated that last segment, and I'm sure some of you guys left and came back, but that's okay. We got the finishing five here at the moment, ready to go. What's on, Josh? I gotta say, Josh, I think you got a haircut, buddy. I think you got a haircut since I saw you.
I did. There's less and less of it every time, but I got a little chop. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Looking good, looking clean. What's on everybody's minds? I mean, okay, on the thumbnail for this episode, I did mention that, and I think I don't think I'm right. I think my thumbnail was a bit misleading. I said Topps, FIFA, deals, Panini, a death blow, something like that, because of the FIFA license transferring over in 2031 after 2 more World Cups. I was listening to Crossover last night, Chris, when I was out, and I think you referred in that episode last night. You mentioned something about Cage's episode where he talked about it. So I listened to Cage anyway, but I went and listened to his episode, and I think. Is it that big of a deal? Like, is FIFA just World Cup cards? It's not. And then Christina jumped in and talked about she questioned a bunch of the leagues. And I think Greg in your chat last night came in and explained what the different leagues were. So my question is about that topic, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this if it's not as earth-shattering as I thought it was at first. Does this change in license, is it that big of a deal to the card community, the collecting community, the soccer community? Is it just products that are going to come out once every 4 years? Like, I don't know how soccer cards really work. Do we see a set every year for all the different leagues? Are they combined into many sets by Panini? Is Panini still going to make licensed professional soccer cards after that the FIFA license moves? Does anyone here know the answer to these questions? And if not, we can. Yeah, David, what can you tell us?
I know a little bit. I've just been doing a little research, knowing that we were talking about this. So Panini, in just World Cup years, they are expected for 2026 and 2030 to bring in 1.5 billion in just World Cup cards. And just to show that with Fanatics this year, they're bringing in 5 billion. Okay, that's a pretty big chunk of how much these World Cup cards are going for.
Yeah.
And yes, it's in 2031 when these cards are coming out, but they are going to have debut patches that are starting at this World Cup. Oh. And that's a huge deal. I know it's going to be a long time from now where they're coming into packs, but that means Lamine Yamal's first World Cup debut patch card is going to be coming out. Yeah. That's probably going to be the biggest soccer card possibly in history. So it's a big deal when that ends up happening, and it is a huge amount of cards. And also, Fanatics business is 85% US based right now. Okay, so this is bringing them way more into the world, and Fanatics is already doing a very good job with the world reach, even though they're at only 15% outside the US, because their London store is doing 35 million in volume over their first year, which already makes it one of the largest card shops in the world. So crazy. I think it's huge that they're doing this.
So you mentioned the debut patch. Now, it brings me back to Cage's podcast that I listened to last night, and he talked about these debut patches. And Chris, this is really interesting. I'm guessing you listened to that episode. What Cage was trying to distill down was the different playing days versus post-playing days sort of type of thing, and licensed, unlicensed, and all these different dichotomies. And it's going to be interesting that I forget the exact kind of issue that he was just discussing, but these patches that are going to come out, these debut patches that'll come out after, not in 2031, but in like 2034, right? 2034 will be the next World Cup, and the patches are going to be they're going to be put in the archives for 8 years in 2026 until they can be put in a pack in 2034. So he was kind of wondering, is that going to help or hurt these cards that the patch is 8 years old, but it's coming out, it's coming out 8 years later. And then I thought to myself, well, I just bought a Babe Ruth game-worn jersey card that was worn 100 years ago and came out in 2007 or whenever it was. And that doesn't bother me whatsoever. So I think those cards are going to be, like David said, extremely hotly pursued, very important and valuable, as long as a guy like Lamine Yamal is still, like Luke Browning says, he may be nothing in 2031. Well, assuming he's not nothing, that's good. Those cards are going to be monsters. And I think it's extremely smart of Fanatics to put those in jerseys now, because although it's an 8-year wait, those 8 years are going to go by. They are going to come and go. And 8 years from now, those could drive products like no other. So that's really interesting to me. But it sounds to me from David, from your research, that this is going to be a big hit to Panini Italy, and they're not going to be able to do World Cup stickers anymore after 2 more World Cups. So interesting stuff. Another sign of just how powerful Fanatics really is in the world of sports. And Michael Rubin might be the most powerful man in all of sports. I don't know. I haven't seen that list, that Forbes list, for a few years. I don't know where he ranks, but it's got to be in the top 3, I'm guessing. Crazy stuff. Dave?
And by the way, I know I'm not a big hockey fan, but I know, for you, Jeremy, you are, and I know how beloved Upper Deck is. But this really scares me because Fanatics is coming in like a wrecking ball, and they are willing to do anything to get that last license, I feel like, And I really feel like that they will lose money on a deal to get that NHL license just to wipe away Upper Deck. And it's sad, right? We all feel like the monopoly is out of control. And it just makes me, the first thing I heard when I thought about this was I was feeling sad to my hockey people, thinking that I feel like Upper Deck's in trouble.
Thinking that we're next. Joe, Josh, any thoughts on this topic? And Joe?
Real quick, just thank you for the research, David. That was wonderful to kind of get informed and updated. And what went through my mind as you were talking around the debut patch is soccer is notoriously hard to find actual true match worn mem, and that's and there are a few products in the Panini line that do that, but very few. Most of it is either player worn or just Dick's Sporting Goods. So I think that's an interesting angle on even Lamin's the likely superstar at that point, but if they are able to pull in a Messi or Ronaldo match worn stuff as well, I mean that could get people just out of their minds.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mr. Minty says he's laughing. Fanatics isn't going to wait to produce and distribute cards with these debut patches, these World Cup debut patches. Don't know the legalities of that. If they find a way around it, maybe they will. But what they could do is have a couple of them on the jersey and save one for when their first fully licensed product comes out, because I do think that would be very important. Whether they don't wait or not, I guess time will tell. But maybe they don't. I don't know. Is there a precedent in basketball or football? They acquired the rights. They acquired the future rights to those licenses 3 years in advance. Did they issue any memorabilia cards in the interim before they got those licenses? I don't know the answer to that. I see Chris is racking his brain. Does anybody know if they did or didn't? Chris, are you aware?
Well, yeah, they put out various unlicensed sets, and they had the Wemby Mercury set.
Oh,
and
Mercury.
Yeah, they definitely hit the ground running.
I wonder with this. I wonder if this will be any different. I know some people, don't be so naive, but you just don't know what the discussions were between Fanatics and FIFA when they did this. I mean, Fanatics had to say, okay, we're gonna let you give your old partner Panini 2 more World Cups, $3 billion more. We're gonna sacrifice that before we come in. Who knows what concessions Topps was given to wait? Fanatics Topps was given to wait those. It's basically 8 years, but I guess it's 6. They could put out FIFA products in the years leading up to the World Cup itself, historically based ones easily. In 2031, they could put out FIFA products or World Cup products that are based on the 2030 tournament. So anyway, really interesting stuff. We'll see what happens. David, let's wrap this one up after this comment.
Or does this also, which I thought that maybe they were alluding to in the chat, is there a better chance now that Panini could be bought, right? And then these could be out a little bit earlier than
Good point.
From now.
Chris?
Yeah, I think that's a big distinction that maybe can give some comfort to hockey fans who are hoping for continuity with Upper Deck, is that the ongoing litigation between Panini and Fanatics and the interest that Fanatics might have in acquiring Panini, that could be a special circumstance here that's motivating an aggressive pursuit of Panini's licenses for the purpose of inducing perhaps a capitulation, with the caveat that could backfire tremendously given the nature of the ongoing litigation. But I do think like that, just speaking to the hockey side of things, that there's certainly extra motive to aggressively come at Panini that just doesn't quite exist in the hockey Upper Deck Venn diagram of all of this.
Hockey more niche than anything Panini have than basketball, football, and soccer for sure. Joe, is that go?
Well, I know we want to move all along from this topic, but maybe this is a way to usher that in possibly. And just, I guess I'm in a mode of thinking about the evisceration of the Panini suite and wondering kind of where that leaves, I know not all of us are kind of ultra modern collectors, but I've been sort of reckoning, what does this, particularly in the realm of basketball, what does the emergence of, Topps Chrome coming into the collecting space do to, we talked about it for years before it happened. Now it's happened. And so here we are. Maybe it's too soon to tell, but I'd be curious if anybody, in Topps Chrome football's out there, and before you know it, there'll be others. Does anyone have any thoughts about what this is doing to the Panini name?
Like you said, it's eviscerating it, and like really, it could become a legacy brand. But I think there's going to be a lot of nostalgia for it down the road. There are a lot of collectors who grew up in the Panini era, came into the hobby in the Panini era, where the gems of the hobby are the Prism Golds and the Logo Men and all the things that Panini brought to the table. It could go the way of any other brand that isn't around anymore. And I guess in a way, many of them are owned by Upper Deck now, like Fleer and Skybox, but those basically went away and are still away for basketball. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to hurt the brand legacy, Joe. I think it might only help it, actually. People are going to be nostalgic for it down the road, just like we are now for early Topps cards and early Gaudies and Leaf and all, play balls and all these other things from the early days. There's a long horizon ahead for that to happen. Chris, any thoughts?
Yeah, there's a lot of great IP that Panini has, and not only IP that Panini invented, and Panini does have some good IP that they invented, the Flawless brand, the Immaculate brand, the Prism brand, but there's a lot of IP too that they acquired through Donruss and Playoff. So we're talking about contenders. We're talking about the Donruss brand. We're talking about spinoffs from that, like Optic and so on, and National Treasures. I'm not sure if I said that, but okay. So there's
you didn't, and I noted that. I was like,
okay. And like, it's so funny actually to look at National Treasures cards from the 2000s and then look at what Panini did with the brand and just contrast. And anyway, they have a lot of great IP. And does Fanatics want it, or maybe not? Does Upper Deck want it? Upper Deck is sitting on maybe the greatest treasure trove of IP. When you look at all the Upper Deck brands, when you look at Fleer, when you look at Skybox, you look at all this stuff they have.
Peachy.
Dude, look at all of the great 90s cards, the Rubies, the PMGs, the Gem Masters, the Masterpieces. That's all with Upper Deck now. I was kind of looking at like Michael Jordan's catalog and thinking that, back in the day kind of felt like a lot of different things. It's all under one umbrella now. But here's the thing, all right, not to give fear to Panini collectors. I have many Panini branded cards in my collection.
Chris, keep this going for 90 seconds, please.
Only 90 seconds? Okay. I could go for hours here, Jeremy. All right. So here's the thing. And I don't mean to introduce fear unfairly, but there's a non-zero chance of this. What happens if these brands get pillaged? What happens if Panini sells them off for scraps, or who knows? But what happens if all of a sudden, like, the Prism brand is suddenly being used to make very I don't want to like be dismissive of other categories of cards, but like, what if Prism just gets attached to something very silly and all of a sudden it's making the jump rope Olympics cards or something, and like all of a sudden Prism is associated with something very that's just totally made up, but like all of a sudden Prism gets associated with something really silly and it loses the prestige of being like these premium NBA and NFL cards and stuff, and instead now it's like, oh, Prism is like this, so like that IP, how it's shepherded through history. And so I think you have like three basic outcomes. Either the IP could be inherited by a major manufacturer who then continues to put it to good use, or the IP could sort of just be sheathed and put away, or you could get the scenario where the IP gets bastardized. And that option 3 is a scary one.
We're talking sheaths and bastardization. That's great. This is great. Like, we're in the land of Shakespeare now.
Was that the first SCL use of sheath? I think so.
Hey, I don't want to contribute to that either, because as you know, I mean, it's not that I have that big of a collection, but I've got some big Panini cards, and most of my Curry collection exists within the Panini catalog. So I'm rooting for them to hold on to sort of the integrity of the brand. But yeah, you're making a good point, Hoj. There is some nervousness around that for me.
Well, yeah, I think that's a reasonable position to take, but I think you're going to be okay. And I think Panini's legacy in the hobby is going to be okay once they're gone. Josh, what about you? Any thoughts on this whole discussion topic?
No.
Okay. A couple comments I want to go. Dave Snyder asked me a while ago, do I have a favorite silly card, most hideous? Dave, I need to think about that. I can't answer it right now. But he wants to know, Joshua, do you have a favorite year of Fleer cards?
This I can talk about. Yes, 1989 Fleer, hands down.
89 Fleer. It is a nice look. It's a nice look. No, are you talking baseball or basketball?
Baseball.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Baseball. Yeah, there's Billy Ripken, Randy Johnson, Ken Griffey Jr., Gary Sheffield. It's a great set.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm with you. I like 85 and 87 for whatever reason. I just remember, and I love them. Collecting them a long time ago. A couple more comments here. There is a lot going on here. Bob Boozle says, since Sports Card Clubhouse already has 50 shows, he is joining the Jeremy Lee Sports Cards Live Network. And Chris C is suggesting Labubu Live with Bob Boozle on Sports Cards Live. I am willing to green light that project. Boozle goes on to say, writing my congressman over Sports Card Clubhouse, Sports Card YouTube monopoly. He also says Jeremy Lee is getting rid of some Kool-Aid, which that's an astute comment. Hello to Carl from Oz, who just got back from the beach 3 weeks before winter starts down in the land of Oz. Carl, good to see you. Christy says, World Series of Poker Prism. That would be cool. I liked when they announced Rolling Stones Prism. I thought that I don't know if I've ever seen the cards, but I was kind of thinking that was pretty cool. A comment from Luke Browning from the coin discussion. The difference I see from coins and cards are that coins are forced upon you through your life. Cards are a choice. Although coins are no longer forced upon anybody. Like coins are kind of going away, it feels like. But I get the sense what he's talking about is in the old days. But anyway, wanted to bring that one up. All right, we got some time left. We have a bit of a clean slate right now where we want to go from here. So I always ask Chris if he has a topic that he came with. I'm going to do that again. He's going to say, how about you, Joe? How about you, Josh? So why don't I just do that myself? Joe, Josh, do you guys have any topics that you want to discuss, or can we go right to Chris? Chris, we're on you, but it's all.
Was Josh pointing to me, or was he indicating he has one? Oh, okay.
I'm pointing to Chris.
He meant to point to you, but it's hard to, yeah.
So I have a running list of topics from Sports Cards Live, and dozens and dozens of them have been checked off because we've discussed them. So if I've already introduced this topic, please just cut me off, but I don't think I have. And here's a topic, and this is a culture topic rather than what do you like to collect topic. So this is a little bit different flavor. It's probably maybe going to inflame the emotions in a different way, and that's okay, and that's good. And I don't want this question to be taken as a criticism of anybody, because it's not. This is a question that comes from my own self-reflection, because I think about this a lot when I'm talked to by my fellow collectors, my fellow content creators. So this is just something that's just sort of like introducing it for a discussion. I hope it doesn't get turned into a criticism of any collector or any content creator, but instead just as a thought piece, a thought exercise.
So anyway, just so you know, Chris, everything you just said, you can throw it out the window because someone will find a way.
Of course.
To buy it. What
I'm really trying to say is, like, I'm sensitive to the fact that this could be prickly. Okay. Especially I think to content creators and to leaders and to people who are influential. But here's the topic.
Buttons, man.
Okay. Here's the topic. When, and then there's a couple of permutations too. When is it okay for one collector to give another collector advice? All right. That's the big topic. Okay. When is it okay to do that? And so here's what I think about some ways to sort of get us going on this here. Does the other collector need to ask for it first, or is unsolicited advice acceptable? And I think that's contentious. And I think I catch myself giving unsolicited advice sometimes, and I think to myself, should I be doing that? Second, If you do give your fellow collector advice, do you bear any responsibility in the outcome that follows if they take your advice? So if I advise someone to, look carefully at Patrick Mahomes cards, some of these might be great, and then they buy some, and then, it goes very poorly for them. Do I bear responsibility in that? And if so, what is my obligation to that person? And then finally, would the hobby be better off or worse off if we just said no advice giving for a year? Nobody can give advice to anybody else for a year. We all have to keep our thoughts and opinions to ourselves. Would the hobby be better off or worse off with a year-long moratorium on advice giving? And now I yield my time.
Wow, what a topic you've come out. That's a home run of a topic, I think, because it can go in so many different directions, Chris. And I'm going to start with Papa Funk's comment here. He says, the same as in real life, advice is only to be given when asked for, which is great in real life. The reality is everyone's got a microphone now. Everyone's got a platform. Everyone's got a page. Everyone gives advice, and people love giving advice. People love to tell you that nobody collects football cards, or that this player is better than that player, or people love to tell people what they think is right or wrong, better, worse, good for the future, or bad. So I think it's a great topic, Chris. I'll take a stab at a couple of those, the specific questions, solicited, unsolicited. As a content creator and someone who talks a lot, I always try and check myself before I say anything that might be construed as advice, because I don't want to be giving advice. But when you're asked for it, I also hesitate to give advice, especially when that advice is, what should I buy? I hate it. Don't ask me what I should buy, what you should buy. But if someone sends me a card and says, what do you think of this card? Or what do you think this might be worth? It really depends who I'm talking to and who they are, because I know with some people, if I'm wrong, they're not going to hold it against me. But if some people, if I don't know them, they might want to hold it against me. But then the flip side of that, Chris, to giving bad advice, I know that Jeff Wilson, Will Greer advice, like that's kind of the famous, like, take a lesson, take a page out of that book and don't give advice, right? Because it's really risky. You could steer a lot of people wrong, especially if you have a big audience. But if you're going to be held at account for giving bad advice, if you give good advice, should you be rewarded for it? Like, what's the flip side of that? If I give you bad advice, you want to come at me? Whether I solicit or unsolicited, if I give you good advice, are you coming back at me saying, hey, I just made 10 grand off that advice you gave me. Here's $1,000 for your troubles, for your good advice. I don't know that that's happening either. So you then ask, is there a responsibility if you give it? I'm going to say that's going to come down to the disclaimers that you provide at the time of giving the advice. Like, you see a lot of the YouTube channels have disclaimers. This is not investment advice. Okay. Well, people are still going to take it as investment advice in many cases. So are you still responsible? Does saying this is not investment advice get you around any responsibility? First of all, I don't believe you have responsibility. I think you should be accountable for your own decisions. And if you are taking advice from people that you don't know them personally, I think that's on you. Now, that's just my personal opinion, but I can see that some people can have their finances ruined by taking advice that wasn't directed specifically to them, but because they listened to somebody who they thought knew what they were talking about on social media. So I see both sides of that. And then your last question was, are we better or worse with or without advice? I think we're better with it because there are a lot of good relationships in the hobby. I mean, Joe and I have been giving advice to each other for years about sports cards. I know that Chris and you talk to Joe about cards regularly, and because we are friends and we trust each other, but it's not like we're strangers who just met and I trust, oh, there's this big account named Chris Hoge. He's got 20,000 followers. I trust him. No, you gotta qualify these people. You gotta vet them, and that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen because they have a legit post on their Instagram page. It happens because you get to know them over a period of years, and you see what they do and how they conduct themselves and how they manage their collection, how they act as the CEO of their collection. And now you say, okay, he's proven to me over a period of years that his advice is probably going to be good, or at least worthy of consideration, serious consideration. So I think we're better off with it, Chris, because as much of an expert as you might be, and a lot of people think I'm an expert at something. Yes, I ask for advice all the time. A lot of people think you're an expert, Chris. I'm sure you ask for advice all the time to people who you trust, know what they're talking about in that specific genre. So I'm done. Chris, let's go to Josh.
I have a preliminary question. And why did you, Jeremy, and everyone else in this chat assume advice means financial advice? That's my first question. Why does it have to be financial based? Why can't it be advice on how to collect a set? Advice on which cards are harder to find in a specific set, in a specific print run? Why does it have to be always financial? That's my first question. And I think that would answer it.
I don't think it has to be. And I don't think that I was thinking financial the whole time. Because someone can ask me, I get questions all the time from people. How does this card look to you? So I respond to them and I say, well, I noticed that just the other day. So maybe I said that, Josh, but that's not the full scope of how I answered, how I think about it.
I agree, but everyone in the chat assumed it meant financial. So my response then to Chris is, or to the question is, I think, like someone said, you only should give advice if it's asked for, like in anything else in life. And the hobby's better off with people giving advice on it. That's how you gain knowledge in this hobby, and that's how you become a better collector. So that's my answer.
Okay. David, Joe, anything to say to respond to? Well, Chris C says, I didn't assume that. So, but I hear what you're saying. And you know why? You know why, Josh? Because that is the most sort of advice that is out there and gets talked about. And it usually comes from, best cards to buy, best cards not to buy. Like that's where hobby content goes in many cases. So I think that's why people assume that, although Chris didn't, and I didn't either. When Chris McGill asked that question just now, I didn't assume that it was just about finances, but maybe that's how my answer came across. Yeah, Joe.
There's an interesting follow-up question to that, and I appreciate that Josh, pointed that out. I felt like I was on the stand, on the witness stand all of a sudden, and Josh was like cross-examining me. But what is the relationship between financial and acquisition? Well, in theory, the higher the financial, cost is, the harder it is to acquire the card. So in some ways, financial is a proxy to scarcity / capacity to access the card. So I mean, if that matters to you, your capacity to access the card, like whether you're even going to get a chance to take a swing at it, much less afford it, financial is a component of it.
Well, it's a huge component, and I think Josh's question is really valid. And I want to go back to Chris for a moment, and I want to say to Chris, you posed this question originally. Where was your mindset as far as what Josh is saying? Was your mindset around just the financial aspect of cards? But as Joe says, a lot of it is acquisition is often tied to value, to money. So, those are a lot of times the questions that come up. But where was your mindset as far as what types of advice were you even thinking? Were you contemplating, Chris?
Great question. And I love that Josh drew that distinction. And I think it fleshes out something interesting about how cards work in general, which is that even if we're giving advice in domains that are not related to advising people how to make a financial decision, there still can be many financial downstream consequences of it nonetheless. Like, let's say I asked Josh, who should I grade with, SGC or CGC? And he can give an opinion that has nothing to do with finance, but it can certainly have a financial consequence depending upon how that goes. Or let's say I ask, how should I store and protect my cards? Should I put them in binder sleeves? Should I put them in top loaders? Should I hold them in card savers? And I get advice, and it turns out I have these thick cards that shouldn't be put into card savers because it bends the corners. Once again, there's a financial component to that, even though the advice has nothing to do with finance. Or I ask somebody, hey, do you vouch for this person? Are they a safe person to do a deal with? And again, there's not a financial component to that, but what if they end up screwing me over? So I think there's almost always is going to be some sort of ripple effect that has a financial component, but it doesn't need to. What if the metric instead is just how much fun am I having? So I let's say I want to get into the hobby, I want to enjoy it, and I say, who should I collect? And somebody like really like firmly persuades me, you really need to collect Michael Jordan. And I start collecting Michael Jordan, and I just don't like it. I didn't like Michael Jordan growing up, and I don't like the Bulls, and I didn't like that era. So it was horrible advice that for me that actually ends up making me not want to collect cards, and I don't have fun, and I don't enjoy my time. And now there's not a financial component to it there, but it's still advice that impacts my enjoyment, and it impacts the way I do the hobby. So there's a two-part answer there. There definitely can be advice that is completely divorced of the financial component, but in the market for cards, there's usually some sort of knock-on financial consequence at some point in the process.
I mean, cards and money are intertwined. You can't get cards without money unless you're a kid. For the most part, you can't get. No one's giving you free cards. So, but I think the distinction that Josh raises is important to the question that Chris posed, because it gives us the ability to now separate the two and say, if you can give advice which isn't to the first degree of separation related to money, if it's not how much should I pay for this, or what do you think this is worth, or should I buy this at today's prices, how much should I ask for this card, is this going to go up in value, is this going to go down in value? That's all financial to the first degree sort of thing. So, but there are, like Chris mentioned a whole bunch, there are other types of advice that we can give. Some of them are things like, well, okay, before you make your decision on what card to buy, go check the population reports, understand the population reports, research comps. That's not financial advice. That's research advice, right? Research, do as much, talk to people who are experts in the area. That's another thing you can do. Send, advice. Well, I don't know exactly, but I'm going to give you advice to send a copy of that card to your 4 best hobby friends and ask them what they know about it. Like, these are all easy, and this is like low-hanging fruit here. But I think the question could be answered differently in both cases, and I think it's more controversial when it comes to the financial piece, and that's the more fun stuff to talk about, really. And that's why I think we went that way, Josh. David Chase, please.
I think there's a very thin line with content creators on giving an opinion and giving advice, right? And I think that an opinion is more of like their viewpoint, but advice is like the desire to help, right? And a lot of it is just based on the way that they say the same sentence, yes. Right? Is literally like, I believe this, or you should do this, right? Even though they're literally saying the same thing. And that's the part that can be a little bit sketchy in some ways. If somebody is telling you to do something based on listen, we need opinions. Opinions make YouTube fun, right? But it gets a little bit hairy when they're telling you to do something instead of voicing it as their opinion.
I think what I'm hearing is, and what I, when opinions are stated as facts and they are simply your taste, like pizza is not good food. No, you just don't like pizza, or I prefer Coke over Pepsi, or Coke is better than Pepsi. No, you just prefer Coke to Pepsi. It's not better than Pepsi. You just prefer it. You just prefer it more. But there are people who feel the other way. LeBron James was better than Michael Jordan. Is the GOAT. You're stating your opinion as fact. You're entitled to your opinion, but when you state it as fact, you all of a sudden come across as maybe giving advice in a way. Like that can be interpreted by the receiver as being, oh, that's advice. The Jeff Wilson's famous Will Greer is a 5 times better investment than whoever. That was his opinion stated as fact. And that's, I think, there's a lot of, that's a big reason why that had such big pushback. 5 years later, still gets it. It's still a running joke half a decade later. So opinion stated as fact is maybe unsolicited. Is maybe somewhat here, Chris. Is opinion stated as fact equivalent to somewhat maybe unsolicited advice?
Yeah, great. I love this. I'm going to introduce. So, like, I've been holding this part back. I think about this a lot. The Crossover is a question and answer show that has run for over 6 years. So, a lot of questions about what do you think about this? What should a person do in this situation? Ranging from the whole spectrum of like, should I ship with FedEx or UPS to are PSA 9s undervalued compared to BGS 9s and like all this type of stuff, right? And so I developed, it took years, but I developed my own approach to this. And it goes very much with what David said, and it goes very much with what you said, Jeremy, but I think there's a wrinkle on it. I love the distinction of opinion versus advice. I believe versus you should. That's a great distinction. The wrinkle that I bring to it is this. I say, if it were me and I have my knowledge of that situation and I have my circumstance with my budget, with my personality type, with my place on the hobby spectrum, all those things considered, this is what I would do. And at that point, it's not advice. It's categorically not. At that point, this is what I would do. And that draws a really important detail out of the discussion, which is none of us have the same situation. None of us have the same budget. None of us have the same preferences. None of us have the same experience level. None of us have the same knowledge. None of us have the same approach, thinking, etc. And so the best I can ever really do anyway is just say what I would do if I were confronted with that particular situation. And that's always been the workaround for me ever since I stumbled into it, is if anybody ever comes to me and asks me for an opinion or advice, I try to make sure to always preface it with, well, you and I have different situations. If it were me, here is what I would do for me, because this reflects my taste, my situation, my preference, my thought process, so on and so forth.
Well said. I like that list of things there too that you just gave. Joe, you were looking to jump in.
Well, just to answer the original question, because I kind of jumped right into the Josh, qualification, which was awesome, and took sort of a deeper level. But I would just say that, yeah, I mean, I really don't, I don't really take anything that just people on YouTube say advice. I listen to it and I find it interesting and I might reflect on it. Often than are very reluctant to give me advice. So that would tell me that the general code within your inner circle is like, nobody really wants to weigh in too much. Like I actually don't think, as much as I've tried to directly to you, to Hoj, like nobody ever gives me a straight answer. They're always very cautious in terms of, and I think that's out of respect. I think that's out of them understanding that, hey, you're an experienced collector. It's like they can offer that, and usually they do it, really skillfully, nuanced, usually. But I don't think anyone, myself, and I'm sometimes actually kind of, but I with my own tastes, and so I guess for me, I would say that it's okay in your inner circle for anybody, personality and their relationship to you and how well you know each other, to completely give you advice. Like, yeah, tell me what you think. I don't know, and
we lost you, Joe. I think it's out of respect, but it's also out of like mitigating liability, limiting and even like relationship liability too. I don't want to, if a friend comes to me and asks me something and I give them some advice on that purchase they're contemplating and it turns sideways on them, oh my gosh, like worst case scenario, they get mad at me and don't want to be my friend anymore, because they chose to listen to my advice and seek it out and maybe act upon it. And that's why whenever Joe asks me, whenever you ask me a question, Joe, yeah, I dance around it. I don't want to, but although sometimes I'm much more willing to tell you that I don't like something, I'm happier to tell you not to buy something than I'm happier to tell you to buy something, because I think that I'm more willing to take the blame for an opportunity cost or a missed opportunity than I am for you realizing a loss. Like you buy something for $10,000, next thing you know, it's worth $2,000, and I cost you $8,000 because you took my advice. So it's interesting. It's an interesting topic here. Rock Latex says, just give your experience, not advice. It's useful information and makes them make their own decisions. I think that makes a lot of. I like that comment from Rock Latex right there. Luke says, again, advice spurring thought is great. Advice as an ultimatum is completely different. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense to me. Anyone else have any other thoughts on the topic? Chris, anything that you gleaned from our discussion that helps you put a bow on it, perhaps?
Yeah, relationship liability is a great term that you just coined right there.
Because I'm always coining terms, man, and you validate them, so thank you.
You are, because that's so true. It's like, it's not out of disrespect to the other person that we're cautious. It's out of the total respect to say, I don't want to be the one to steer you wrong. So, and ultimately, I can't know what's right for you. I can, Rock Latex nailed it right there. Give your experience. Say, this is how it has worked for me. This is my experience. This is my knowledge. So as reluctant as I am to ever sort of tell somebody you should, I am in equally opposite forcefulness, overly enthusiastic to download to anybody that will ever ask me everything I happen to know through research that I've done on a topic. So like if somebody came to me and wanted to know about Michael Jordan 1-of-1s, pull up a chair. I will talk to you about my knowledge and my experience for hours. I will bore you to death. But if you ask me, should you buy one? I can't answer that. I don't want to answer that. That makes me uncomfortable.
You have all of them.
Well, and there's the rub. You can't anyway.
And Chris's experience on 1-of-1 Michael Jordan's is out there. Just go to the Hojcast and you can go download that advice, that experience for free on YouTube. Exactly. It's there, and it's 2 hours long, basically. In the one big episode you did. So yeah, interesting. Good topic, Chris. A fun topic. Got the conversation going. Joe?
Just thank you. I just wanted to say, what I learned from Hoj isn't necessarily the 1-of-1 Michael Jordan. It's more the thought process, how to approach breaking down your own questions within any category, really. And it could be vintage, it could be ultra modern, it could be 90s. So, that way of approaching it, going down different rabbit holes, looking, assessing, that's something that our friends, you too, Jeremy, you've taught me a lot just through your own collecting style, not in a deliberate attempt or an intentional way of giving advice, but more modeling how you collect.
Yeah. Well, that's nice to hear. That's cool to hear for sure. And I kind of think that this whole, what you shouted out Chris just there, and with what Chris does is he inspires learning and research of whatever it is you might be passionate about. So that's what I was hearing you say, Joe, that you learned from Chris is, before I go down a rabbit hole, one of the best bits of advice I ever got from Chris, and not that I follow it because sometimes I'm just too impulsive still, is, before you start collecting a player, learn their full menu of cards that are out there. And that's one that sometimes it's like, and not just player, to Chris, when I went to West Coast Card Show in February and I bought all those game used baseball memorabilia cards, I didn't know the full menu of all those that were available, but I still dove right in. But I did spend 2 hours at that guy's table picking his brain so I could get as much out of him as I could on what were good cards for these players in terms of memorabilia. So I tried to get as much as I could, but I still dove in that day. 2 hours after discovering the new lane I was about to steer the car down, I jumped in with both feet into the deep end. Shout out sort of to Iowa Dave, not the shallow end. I jumped right into the deep end, and here I am now, however many months, 3 months later, and I just showed another stack of cards. Like, it's funny how that one trip created a whole new collection for me, and basically, like, all these cards in my hand. No, there's actually not that many of them here, but well, there are. I got anyway, a stack of cards like this big just came home with me last weekend to add to that pile. Sometimes jumping in is okay a little bit. Just don't blow the bank, because there is something to be said for kind of learning that way, I guess. But you can start and then research by looking at auctions, online marketplaces, Instagram, and finding out more and more, following new accounts that collect these things, so you can learn more and more about that lane, that genre that you want to go down. And that's what keeps the hobby so exciting for me. Finding a new lane is like a rebirth in a way. Finding two new lanes sometimes is like twins, It's like you got even more going on. So back to come back to center though. That's something that Chris's advice to anyone who's looking to start collecting a new player, try to understand. That's advice you cannot regret giving. Learn the menu of cards available. So, all right, go ahead.
You just put it on it. Even in that situation, Jeremy, because I think you were like you sense this tension, and I sense it too. That's not even the right advice for everybody. They're like, I had the funniest conversation at a Dallas card show with a Spur fan at Tech years ago. And we were just talking, and he was like, I bought the card first, and then I researched it later. And I just prayed that what I bought was going to be great. And it turned out that this time it was, but the shoot first, aim second, that's actually something that's one of the most fun parts of the hobby for people, is like, oh, let me just kind of jump in and like take this ride. And like, I'm not going to know every single detail going into it. I'm going to learn it after. I'm going to use my purchase to fuel and to incentivize me to learn more and more. And so it's not right for everybody to know the full menu. For some people, the best, for what works best for them isn't that. So even in that's why I would frame it as like, I think I am most comfortable and confident collecting when I know all the alternatives. And then I can, and only when I know all the alternatives can I properly tell the story of a card, because cards are relational. Whether it's part of a lineage, what are the other versions of something, what are the other adjacent items. So to me, storytelling, collecting, it's really important to have a holistic knowledge of the history that's directly implicated and is adjacent to it. But that's not right for everybody. That's not the approach that everybody likes to take to maximize their hobby experience. So even there, Jeremy, it's not advice. It's just me. It's how I do it.
Absolutely. The advice is how you would do it. It's what's worked for you. It might not be right for somebody else. And the other time when it might actually be bad advice is when somebody says, okay, hold on, I'm going to take Chris's advice. I'm not going to buy that card. I got to learn it. Now I spend 3 weeks learning the menu, and that card I was going to buy goes from
gone.
Gone, or goes from being worth $2,000. Now you got to pay $5,000 for it. And oh, damn it, I listened to Chris. Now it's going to cost me another $3,000 just to get that card. So, you're right. Telling somebody what works for you, that expressing what has worked for you in the past, and what the potential downfalls are of it as well, like the one I just outlined, is a good path to go down, I would say. So,
and sometimes you're going to make a mistake, and that's tuition, right? Like when I do impulsively pick up a card and then I realize after the fact, oh wow, I didn't really know what I was doing here. I really learn more than I would have if I hadn't spent the money. And so the lesson goes deep. And I usually wield my positionality in a way that actually it still works out, because I've I've invested in the process, and I've motivated myself to research harder, smart research ahead of time, but sometimes we need to pay the tuition first in order to learn the lesson.
Yeah, for the lesson to actually stick with you. Chris C here says mistakes are just a necessary learning experience. And I think so, especially when you're a child. I think it's important for kids to learn from their mistakes. As adults, I don't mind mitigating mistakes a little bit more. I'm not contradicting anything that Joe just said or anyone else has said. But when I'm selling my book at card shows and people say, like, what is it? What's it about? I say, or someone who's been there even at the expo is like, well, it's a good way to avoid making mistakes. It's a good way to fast forward, to accelerate your learning curve and things, to help you kind of make fewer mistakes along the way. And that's based on experience, not based on really giving advice. It's all based on what has worked for me and many more things. But yeah, maybe just a quick plug for the book, I guess. Not that anyone here who's listening or seeing it hasn't already decided to buy it or not to buy it. So that's not really a plug, but all right, guys. Anything else anybody wants to talk about tonight before we wrap up? And we got nothing. Okay, so we can let's wrap this one up then. This has been a fun one. They're all fun, guys. The five of us coming on at the end, a lot of fun. And I know it's tough. We all want to get words in. But good job, everybody, tonight for allowing it to happen naturally. I appreciate it. Chat, good job tonight. Thank you. Thank you, guys, for welcoming Dean to I just thought it would be an interesting lens to look through, and we're going to do it again in a couple of weeks. We are going to bring a ticket guy on. I alluded to it earlier. I said I wasn't going to share, but we're going to. We're going to bring a ticket guy on. I want to draw parallels between tickets and cards. Not that it hasn't been done before, but I want to do it again. It's been several years since I've had a ticket person on the show, like I think 5 years probably. So I want to talk about that, and it even I even showed a ticket on my Instagram story the other day, which had a ton of likes and comments coming back to me. So that was kind of fun. Anyway, guys, what else? I'll be back tomorrow night for the Fanatics Club weekly show. Is the crossover back next Friday, Chris?
Might be. I don't know. We usually don't know until Friday morning.
I love it. Josh, 90s auctions. We have an auction brewing, do we not?
Yeah, starting end of the month, right before Memorial Day, we'll start.
So the end of May to end the middle of June sometime?
2 weeks, yeah, first weekend of June. So 2 weeks, bang, bang, Sunday night.
Awesome.
Yeah, be good.
David Chase, you'll be back here next week, and you're doing the new Midlife Card Chase with Greg on the Sports Card Clubhouse channel every second week, I believe.
Yeah, this Saturday will be episode number 2.
Got it. Coming up this Saturday. Awesome. And Joe Perot, anything going on with you? Any announcements? You're coming to the National.
Yeah, I mean, I think all signs to Chicago, so there's so many people in the hobby that I've never seen because they're hardcore East Coasters and or just don't make it out to the West Coast. So that's super exciting to imagine. And of course it'll be my first national. So I'm super stoked.
Incredible. Cannot wait. Bob Boozle says, let me give you some advice, Jeremy. This is a good point to end the show. Boozle, new co-producer of Sports Cards Live. Boozle, add that to your resume. Let your wife know you got a side hustle on the go now, if she didn't already know, guys. Want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, everybody else in the chat. Thank you to Dean for joining us earlier tonight as well. Guys, here we are on May the 9th, 2026. And this episode of Sports Cards Live is now, Chris Hoge, over. Josh Adams,
over.
Joe Perot,
Happy Mother's Day, over.
And David Chase, over. And with that, thank you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in and being a part of the Sports Cards Live community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and most of all, keep collecting. More great content to come. Sports Cards is a lifestyle.